911. Hello? Ma'am, what's your address?
Walking away from a failing marriage has to be one of the most difficult things anyone could ever have to do. But what happens when one person's refusal to move on results in 2 tragic murders? This is the story of James Terry Coley Jr. James Coley and his wife, 36-year-old Amanda, had been married for around 8 years when friends of the couple began noticing that all wasn't well with their family of 4. On the outside, they seemed like your average suburban couple, 2 kids, a nice house, and a life that was stable, or at least looked so.
Amanda described their relationship as, in the beginning it was great, they had kids, she grew up, he kind of didn't, and as she continued on in their marriage, she found it more and more difficult because he would drink and be violent or crazy around the kids and just inappropriate because he'd be hungover or sick the next day. They'd have to tiptoe around the house, and it just was not a comfortable environment for her or her kids.
Behind closed doors, it was a different story altogether. The marriage had become a battlefield, rife with arguments, tension, mistrust, alcohol abuse, and even allegations of domestic violence. Things were so bad that Amanda had secured multiple domestic violence injunctions against him. Despite everyone's attempts at reconciling the pair, the truth was obvious. James and Amanda were going to have to separate. By mid-July 2015, divorce papers had been filed, yet James would still linger around. At the time, Coley, 36, was already living in his sister's house on Garrison Drive in St. Augustine because of the injunctions filed against him. But that did not stop him from regularly traveling 15 miles away to see Amanda, who still lived in their marital home on South Bellagio Drive. The pair continued this on-and-off relationship for a while, and on the once-in-a-blue visits, they would talk and argue, and they were even sexually intimate. Their relationship had now become a toxic loop. James and Amanda weren't together anymore, but they weren't exactly apart either. James, however, had gotten into a new relationship with another woman during this time, but was still fully fixated on fully getting back with his wife. The methods through which he went about that, however, were far from proper. Even after Amanda had gotten the injunction placed against him, James kept on texting, kept on showing up unannounced. For him, Amanda had become an obsession. There was another problem, too. James couldn't prove it, but he suspected that Amanda was already seeing someone else. But she wasn't letting on anything. A neighbor of Amanda's, Mike Dickens, sent him a photograph that they had taken of a topless man mowing Amanda's grass. James grew terribly incensed and decided he was going to do something far more drastic than just bothering Amanda via texts, when she wouldn't tell him who the man in the picture was. The couple's weird web of turmoil was now about to come to a catastrophic end. Very early, just a few days later, at around 4 a.m. on August 27, 2015, Coley drove to Amanda's house. He was going to confront her about the photographs, but then he reached the cul-de-sac where their family used to play, and Amanda wasn't home. But instead of just leaving and turning back home, he decided it would be a good idea to search the empty home, and what he found there sent him reeling. Littered around the house were different sex toys, but also clothes. And not just any clothes, men's polo shirts, which he knew weren't his. The weight of the truth knocked any semblance of reason out of him. He knew it now. Amanda was seeing someone else. Thrown into a blind rage, James ransacked the house, smashing television sets, defacing the walls, and even dumping trash on the floor. Next, he visited a friend a few houses down the street to tell them what he had discovered, conveniently leaving out the fact that he had trashed Amanda's place. He placed multiple phone calls to Amanda, most of which she, of course, left unanswered.
Really funny you don't want to talk yet, huh? You know what? We don't need to talk. Don't do nothing to me. I won't do nothing to you. I won't bring this up in court about what you really are. And we both know what you really are. You're lucky I don't tell our children about this, Amanda. You're fucking disgusting. That's what you are.
Hours later, at 9 a.m., Amanda returned. The extent of the damage terribly upset her, and she quickly FaceTimed her boyfriend, Lamar Duberly, to show him what Coley had done. Lamar quickly drove over to Amanda's and called the police non-emergency line to make a report. Nearly a full hour later, a public service assistance officer arrived at 9:55 a.m. to observe the damage. Yet, surprisingly, Amanda wasn't ready to take any further action against James. She instead told the officer that she didn't want to file any formal charges against Cully until after she spoke with her mother and attorney. His hands tied down, the officer was forced to leave. The real reason, however, as her friends would later confess, was because she didn't want James to get jailed, as she was reluctant to keep her children away from their father. However, two of Amanda's friends, Lindy Dobbins and Rachel Hendricks, arrived minutes later to give her much-needed emotional support. Unfortunately, one of them would pay the ultimate price for her sisterhood later that afternoon. While Amanda and her support team tried to take stock of the mess that James had already made, James had an engagement of his own. Just about the same time that Amanda was returning to her home, Cully had just arrived at the courthouse for a hearing of an unrelated violation of his domestic violence injunction. The violation had happened when he burned Amanda's clothes, but the James that stood in front of the judge that morning was a very different person from the one who had trashed Amanda's house just hours earlier. When asked, he replied that he had never been diagnosed with mental illness, nor was he under the influence of any intoxicating substances at the time of standing on the dock. Bear in mind, Amanda hadn't made an official report yet, so this judge was unaware of the rampage that James had gone on earlier this morning. Faced with this seemingly contrite man, the trial judge decided to mitigate his sentence. Cully was allowed to plead no contest to the charged violation. He wasn't admitting guilt, but he wasn't going to be fighting the charge. As a result of this, the court wouldn't be officially convicting James of this crime, so he wouldn't be getting his first stain on his criminal record just yet. Instead, he'd be sent on 12 months of unsupervised probation, and maybe go for anger management classes. A little before 9:30 a.m., James left the courtroom, but instead of just going home, he called Amanda again.
Please talk to me. Please. Amanda, I'm out of court. Please talk to me. Baby, please. This is the last time I'm calling and begging you. Please.
Eventually, around 9:41 a.m., she caved and agreed to speak with him. The conversation lasted for 14 minutes before it finally ended. Afterwards, James drove to a gas station near his sister's house, went to his sister's home, and then briefly returned to the same gas station, where he bought a small amount of gas and beer from the store. Shortly after 10 a.m., he turned the ignition once more and started the 20-minute drive back to Amanda's home. He'd now reached the cul-de-sac where he and his wife used to live together, but instead of going straight to Amanda's home, James drove into an adjacent street and parked his car to an unoccupied house. From there, he crossed a berm and walked along a trail that ran parallel to Amanda's fenced-in backyard. And James wasn't just walking alone. In his possession were two handguns, a 9mm and a .45 caliber. Filled with bloodlust, James approached Amanda's house through the back and immediately began firing shots from the outside. Inside the house was Amanda and her three other visitors, boyfriend Lamar, and her friends Lindy and Rachel. When he heard the sounds of gunshots and the shattering backdoor glass, Lamar shouted for everyone to run. Lamar himself quickly fled the scene and ran out of the house through the garage. Unfortunately, the other women weren't so lucky. Trapped in the fated home, they all ran to the home master bedroom area. Amanda hid in the bathroom while Lindy and Rachel barricaded themselves in the closet. At around 10:36 a.m., separate 911 calls were made from Amanda's and Lindy's cell phones.
911. Hello? Ma'am, what's your address? Bloody murder. Is that gunfire? Oh my God.
Meanwhile, James ransacked the house, shouting, "Where is he? Where is he?" after he entered the home through the shattered back glass doors. He first found Amanda. He screamed at her and demanded to know where he was. The intent was apparent now. James had come into the house in search of Lamar's head and would not leave without it. But Lamar had already escaped and Amanda didn't know where he was. She begged James to put down his gun. Instead, James tried to open the door to the closet, but Rachel held the door shut with her foot. It was now total chaos inside the house. A crying Amanda told James that only Rachel and Lindy were inside the closet, prompting Lindy to say, "It's Lindy in here, it's Lindy." James now returned to the bathroom and shot Amanda. However, the shot was not fatal. He then went back to the closet, again unable to open the closet door. James lost his patience and this time fired a shot through the door. The bullet grazed Rachel's arm, causing her to let go of the door. As Rachel ran out of the closet, James entered it and walked into where Lindy was crouched down, hiding behind a chest. James shot and killed her. Amanda was still holed up in the bathroom, and so James went back there and shot her 3 more times until his 9mm was out of bullets. James dropped the 9mm and shot Amanda 5 more times using the .45. His evil desires sated, James then left the home. As for James, he called his father and his 2 sisters to tell them what had happened, and then returned to his sister's house on Garrison Drive, abandoned his cell phone, packed a few things, and then fled the area hoping to escape the state. But he wouldn't get very far because around 10:38 a.m., just 2 minutes after Amanda and Lindy called the police, this 911 call was made.
911,
What's the address?
emergency.
Yes, ma'am. I've got a lady that just came over to my house reporting a shooting.
Okay. Where did the shooting occur at, sir?
What?
Okay.
A lady said a bunch of people have been shot.
She is saying that there was somebody shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does she know if anybody, are they hurt?
She don't know. She ran over here because they were shooting.
How about the suspects? Do we know if there's anybody? We're trying, sir, but we need to know more information for the officers responding. Who did the shooting, and are they still there?
Do you know who did the shooting?
Are they still there?
James Colley. James Colley. And he's still there? Yes, he's still there.
Okay.
Hold on a minute.
Hello? Hey, I need a little bit more help. We got officers coming, but can you please hurry? Can you give me some information so that I know what's going on? Do you know? You don't know what the house number is?
I don't. But there's a white pickup truck in the driveway. It's at the very end of the cul-de-sac. They just left her house. The cops just left her house. It's Amanda Colley. They just left her house because her husband ransacked the house last night. They just came over and did a report with her.
Okay, hang on just a moment. She said she got grazed by a bullet when he started firing, and she ran to the neighbors.
But he point blank shot my friend that was right in front of me. I mean, I'm scared to death for my life.
Is that Amanda?
He shot Amanda, and he shot Lindy Dobbins, our other friend that was there with us. I'm hiding in a closet at the neighbor's house. I'm scared to death.
Rachel had escaped the house and gotten help from a neighbor who had helped her phone police to alert them of what was happening. A police hunt quickly began, and he was soon found around Virginia. He had been reported by a woman who called the police, claiming that although his car was behind her traffic, he had been repeatedly trying to run her off the road. A traffic stop was conducted, and although intoxicated, James did not resist police as he was taken into custody. In jail, James was in contact with his family members nearly every day. His main concern was his family's secure custody of his 2 children from Amanda's family. But James' own careless words would probably be the ones to do the most damage to him once he got in the cell. His cellmate, Andrew Cherry, was forced to listen to him rant about what had happened, and Andrew, hoping for a mitigated sentence, decided to become an informant for the detectives.
Then we'll hear you out. At this point, obviously, I have no clue whether we would use you as a witness or not use you, because I don't know what you're going to tell us. So, right. But all that stuff can be talked about later with your attorney and stuff. So you just kind of want to start with what you know, maybe, and then Samantha and I will maybe just ask you some follow-up questions.
Okay. Well, I've been roommates with James Colley. Well, I was roommates with James Colley for about 100. I was actually about six months, and we were in the same room. So we talked a lot. When he first initially got arrested, and I was with him, I got arrested after him about a week. When he first got arrested, he was talking, and he was like, blah blah blah. Hey, first thing he said to me when I walked in the room was, "Hey, I'm James Colley. Nice to meet you." He's like, "But you probably already know who I am." And I looked at him, "No." You know? I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, you haven't seen me all over the news?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm here on a double murder, double attempt." I'm like, "Okay." You know, I'm kind of like, whoa, you know, I just, okay. And
James was clearly not remorseful about what had happened, and was even wearing it as a sort of badge of honor.
He told me one time, you know, that actually before his wife, Amanda, filed the injunction against him, that he left Amanda to go live with his sister. And he left Amanda to go live with his sister because he found out that Amanda was having an affair with a guy named Lamar. And then, but he didn't really want to divorce his wife, so sorry. He didn't really want to divorce his wife or leave his wife. It was just more, he was really mad at the time. So he left, and then he tried to get back with her, but I guess they had some kind of argument. I don't know what happened there, but she ended up filing an injunction on him. He violated the injunction. He ended up doing some time in St. John's County Jail. It was really short, he told me. That was way back, and I don't remember the day he told me, but... Well, he said that when he got out of the St. John's County Jail, that him and his wife still saw each other. They still were together, and she cooked them meals and all types of things, and it's not like everybody makes it, and they weren't estranged. They weren't estranged for as long as everybody thinks they were. They were only estranged for about a couple weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks before he killed his wife. And he did actually say that he killed his wife many times. Sick jokes, all types of.
Apparently, James was claiming that he had done a short stint in a country jail for violating a previous domestic violence injunction that she had filed against him after a brief separation. But he and his wife had been together even after that. But James was still making sick jokes about his wife. For example, this.
Well, it's sick jokes, he just, I mean, we're sitting in the room, and I do my laundry. I hand wash all my laundry, because you don't want to send it to the washer, but, something will fall, and I'll be like, oh, that's just my wife, Don't worry about it, Cherry, that's just, Cherry is my last name, Andrew Cherry. Don't worry about it, Cherry, that's just my wife. Fucking bitch loves to fucking come back and always saying, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. So it's off of the song, but.
And he says that?
All the time. All the time goes around saying, bitches ain't shit, blah, 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 and fucking cheating whores got what they deserve, and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just real spiteful things, and.
Who does he say that in reference to?
Amanda and Lindy.
That they got what they deserve.
He blames Lindy mainly for a lot of the reason why him and his wife split, because he said that that Lindy was one of Amanda's good friends. I don't know any of this, but what he told me.
Okay.
But that Lindy was one of Amanda's good friends, and he blames Lindy for a lot of their problems because Lindy used to talk into Colley's ear, James Colley, and say things like, that he's no good for you, and you need to leave him, and he's abusive towards you, and make him out to be a crazy person.
You're saying Lindy was telling Amanda these things?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why he was mad at her, and that's why he killed her and talks about her that way. It's because a lot of the times that he blames Lindy for those problems.
Here, we now see an interesting reason why James had specifically targeted Lindy and not Rachel. It's very likely that he might have caught up to her if he had decided to go after her that morning.
Anyways, the day that he did do it, he was supposed to go to work. He told me that. He said, oh man, if I would have went to work, I wouldn't be here right now.
Had James ignored his vengeful feelings that morning, things would have likely turned out very differently.
At first, when he first got arrested, it was all really just a big game to him. And a big joke. Well, he didn't think he was getting life. He really thought he was going. I swear to you, he really thought he was going home. He really and truly thought he would only get like 20 years.
Even with the extent of his crimes, James had been thoroughly convinced that he was going back home.
Amanda? Or Amy? Sorry. Amanda. Amy. That's her name. Nothing. I mean, he just says she's really like crazy. I'm sorry for all the language.
No,
but
use whatever language.
This is what it is.
We've heard everything.
And he really just calls her a crazy bitch because he was only dating her like a week and a half, 2 weeks before he actually got arrested. I don't know how long he's exactly known her, but he was like, yeah, she's crazy. I was only dating her for like 2 weeks before I got arrested. So I don't even know why she's still here, but that bitch is crazy, she's like stalker type. And I'm like, yeah, he told me that the only reason why he dated Amy was just more of a to try to make Amanda jealous. It was more to try to make her jealous.
James had clearly not been in love with his new girlfriend, and only got with her out of pure spite for Amanda.
A couple weeks ago, he took the kids to the Sharks game, and she obviously didn't, because they were definitely separated by that point. The night of the Sharks game, he got absolutely belligerent and blew up her phone. He drove through our work parking lot like 20 times. He broke into the house that night, stole all of our TV remote controls. He just did really awful, messed up things. And that was the week right before they had the first injunction hearing, where the judge arrested him the first time for breaking the injunction.
You're hearing the voice of Mandy Wilson, a close friend of Amanda's. In her testimony given on September 2nd, 2015, she spoke of the toxic, violent nature of James and Amanda's relationship. Apparently, this particular episode had been reported.
There wasn't anything she could have said. I mean, in the beginning, she was as nice as possible to try and let him know that they no longer needed to be together. There would be no more of them, and he just got worse and worse and worse. And every time it would happen, he would just get drunk and belligerent and call her and text her hundreds and thousands of times and drive through work or drive by the house and just intimidate her.
However, it appeared that despite Amanda's repeated efforts at trying to be reasonable with James, the man wasn't having any of that.
And he would call her with the kids sitting there and just say, "Mommy doesn't love us. Mommy doesn't want us together. Mommy doesn't, she doesn't want us to all go to the beach tomorrow. She's breaking up our family. This is horrible. Mommy's just mean. She's awful." So he started being manipulative to the kids, who are so young. They have no idea what's going on. It was just an awful situation.
James was not only beating Amanda's physical body, but by manipulating saying these sorts of things and pitting their own kids against Amanda, he was also battering her mind, too.
She showed me text messages that she had screenshotted off of his phone. I know it's probably not the greatest thing, but she had went through his phone and screenshotted text messages where his sister, Rhonda, was coaching James on how to get custody of the kids or how to get spousal support once the divorce was final. I guess she'd either done some research or knew about it or whatever the scenario was, but there was just text messages among text messages from Rhonda to James about, take pictures of her medications that she's taking, take pictures of the kids being, their room being a mess, take pictures of the dishes in the sink, and by no means did she live a sloppy life. I mean, she wasn't.
James wasn't exactly acting alone, either. On the surface level, it looked like his family weren't against Amanda. When he had his episodes, they would help out Amanda with their children. But behind the scenes, James was being coaxed by his family to take everything from Amanda.
With him, I know that there are stories, and it is true, she did have sex with him after the injunction happened, because he would come to the house or call her and be like, "I'm not helping you with the kids unless you have sex with me, and I'm not going to go get them, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that, and you're just going to have to lose your job, and you're going to have to figure it out. You can just move back home with your parents," and just be really awful to her. And, I mean, we have a company here, and Nick was like, "Amanda, you got to get to work on time. You got to be here. You manage multiple teams. You have a call every morning at 9:30 you need to be here for." And when she couldn't be, because James wouldn't help her, she unfortunately did what she had to do to...
James continued to manipulate Amanda, and while they did have sexual contact, as we mentioned earlier, it was at his insistence.
As far as I know, James did not know Lamar by name and did not know what he drove or what he looked like, but he suspected, and Amanda kind of towards the end was like, "Screw it, yes, there is someone else, but that's not why this originally started."
Did that seem to irk James at all?
Yes, he was not very happy about it, because I think that she said it more in "I'm sick of you asking me," yeah, fine, there is somebody. Just to let it be, you know what I mean? Because he every day would be like, "Is there someone? Is there someone? Is there someone?" And that was even before, even when they were still living together. She, prior to, earlier this year, she had stopped.
But it was clear that James hadn't known Amanda's new boyfriend, which also explains why he had referred to Lamar as he.
Yeah, even now or even then during the injunction, he would say things like, "If I find out that you're cheating on me, or if I find out that there's someone else, I'm gonna kill you. You won't make it. You won't be in that relationship. How could you do that? Blah, 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 blah."
The threats were there, and the thought of unaliving Amanda had clearly crossed James' mind on multiple occasions, so much that he had used it to threaten Amanda. A multitude of evidence was being built against James, This was never a case of who'd committed the murders, but rather what penalty should be meted out on James for committing those murders. In court, nearly 3 years after the actual crimes had been committed, James was charged with 7 charges: the first-degree murder of Amanda Colley, the first-degree murder of Lindy Dobbins, the attempted first-degree murder of Lamar Doberly, and the attempted first-degree murder of Rachel Hendricks, burglary with an assault or battery, burglary of a dwelling, and aggravated stalking after an injunction. At trial, the state proved its case principally through the testimonies of Rachel Hendricks and Lamar Doberly, and through cell phone and video records that documented Colley's actions in the hours leading up to the murders. Then came time for the autopsy reports. Dr. Predrick Bulick, the St. Johns County Chief Medical Examiner, testified about the autopsies performed on the murder victims. According to him, Amanda sustained 9 gunshot wounds, 2 in the chest area, 1 in the abdomen, 3 in the right leg, 1 in the right hand, and 1 in the left hand. Amanda's wounds showed that the shots had traveled different trajectories. Some had followed a slight downward trajectory, consistent with both the shooter and the victim standing up at the time of the gunshots. Other bullets traveled through Amanda's body at an upward trajectory, indicating that she was lying horizontally on the ground when shot. When asked whether Amanda was unconscious of what was happening, Dr. Bulick agreed that she was in fact aware throughout the entire shooting process, actually. As for Lindy, Dr. Bulick testified that she sustained 3 gunshot wounds, 1 on her right temple, 1 on her right shoulder, and 1 on her left foot. The trajectory of the shoulder and temple gunshots had followed a steep downward angle, consistent with the shooter being above the victim. Both of these gunshots were immediately lethal. In closing arguments, the defense claimed that the state's prosecution had not proven premeditation and argued that Colley shouldn't be found guilty of first-degree murder or attempted murder. They said that he was on an emotional roller coaster due to his unstable relationship with Amanda, and the killings were a snap reaction. They insisted that Colley didn't threaten to kill anyone when they went to Amanda's home and suggested something triggered him after he arrived. However, on July 18, 2018, at the Richard Watson Judicial Center in Florida, the jury unanimously found James guilty of all 7 counts leveled against him. The next question now was, how would he be punished? At the penalty phase of the hearings, James' defense tried to involve his state of mind as a reason why he shouldn't be made to face the death penalty. Their claims were that he used an Ambien, a sleep-inducing drug, earlier that morning, and needed to be woken by his father in time for the court hearing. James had also told mitigation experts that he had consumed alcohol and cocaine the night before he ransacked Amanda's house. He also said that he had spoken with Amanda in the pre-dawn hours and offered to pay for the damage that he had done, and that Amanda had agreed not to call the police to report that incident. The authenticity of his statements began to falter, however, when he said that he hadn't approached the house unarmed. Instead, he now claimed that it was the sight of a man through the window that prompted him to go back to his car and arm himself. According to Dr. Mark Mills, a forensic psychiatrist, Colley was substantially impaired during his murders because he was experiencing an Ambien side effect called parasomnia. Parasomnia is a sleep disorder where someone seems to be acting in a rational way, but later he has no recollection of his or her own actions. However, it is very rare. Dr. Mill's opinion was largely based on the fact that when he interviewed Colley in October 2017, some 2 years after the murders, Colley reported having stroboscopic memory, remembering only flashes of what had happened on the day of the murders. Another doctor, Dr. Michelle Quiroga, testified that Colley had suffered from depression, anxiety, and panic attacks, and was taking antidepressants in August 2015 when the murders had happened. He had also been self-medicating with alcohol, and even colder, confessed to having taken a line of cocaine at around 2 a.m. that morning. But a testimony made by Charles Tinlin, the judge who had presided over the injunction violation hearing that morning, refuted any such claims.
Now, I want to ask you about a plea that you took from the defendant in this case, James Terry Colley Jr. Do you recall court hearings with him August 27th of 2015?
I do.
And was that in your morning court docket there a little after 9 a.m., I believe?
That sounds about right.
Was he present with a counsel or an attorney at that appearance?
He was represented by a gentleman named Kyle Grant.
Did you go through the colloquy that you just explained to the jurors with Mr. Colley that morning?
I did.
And throughout that process, did you have any concerns over impairment or his ability to understand?
I did not. I asked him if he was under the influence of any intoxicants. He told me he was not. There was no indication, nothing in his demeanor that indicated he was under the influence of anything.
Did you make any observations or findings about him after going through that call?
I made a find that he was competent to proceed, and I took the plea. His demeanor was fine. I didn't see any indication that he was swaying or not understanding the questions I was asking. He was giving me appropriate responses to the questions I was asking.
He was alert and intelligent, gave what you were for.
In my opinion, yes.
And so, on November 30th, 2018, after deliberations, the court decided that the prosecution's mentioned aggravating factors far outweighed any mitigating circumstances being pushed by the defense. In accordance with this decision, the court sentenced Cully to his death for each murder and imposed sentences for Cully's other convictions. They would run concurrently with the death sentences. The Cully's 2 children were kept in state custody for a while, before one of Amanda's family members eventually came for them. But what did you think of that? Was Amanda's long-suffering attitude to blame? Or is James just a sick psycho that you would want us to make a video on when he eventually gets the chair?
Orange County, hello, caller.
Hi, I need to fill out a missing persons report.
Okay, and where are they missing from? Are they missing from 68 East Pine Street? Okay, are you there now?
No, we went to her apartment to go check.
Okay.
She's there, and she's not.
Okay.
It was a quiet October night when Orange County's 911 department received a frantic call from a man reporting his friend missing. While police raced to gather details and investigate any patterns, the man revealed a chilling fact that quickly turned this whole situation into one of the town's most disturbing mysteries yet.
Is this peculiar for her? Has she not done this before or anything? Like, is it out of sorts or?
Not to this extent. I mean, like, we'll be out in a group of friends, and then she, will leave, to go home, but, like, usually we hear from her, right away.
So this is about, how many hours did you say she's missing?
So this happened at 1 in the morning this morning.
Okay.
I don't know what time it is now.
So about 12 hours?
Yeah, about 12 hours.
Okay.
On October 17th, 2015, Sasha Samsudian, a 27-year-old social media manager, sparked worry amongst her friends when she stopped answering calls, texts, and even skipped a planned breakfast. At first, no one thinks too much of it, as she had been out the night before celebrating her new job at the Attic Bar, one of Orlando's popular nightlife spots, and they just assumed that she was probably sleeping off a hangover. However, by 8 p.m. on October 17th, with no word from Sasha, her friends' worry turned into panic, and they rushed to her apartment to check on her. When they got there, they saw her car parked in the driveway, a baby shower gift still inside, untouched, hinting that she still hadn't left the complex. But when they reached her front door, it was locked tight, and no matter how much they knocked, there was no answer from the inside. And at that moment, they started to fear the worst. So, out of concern, they contacted the Orlando Police Department to request a welfare check on Sasha. But what the police discovered inside of her apartment shattered any hope of a simple explanation. When they stepped inside, they found Sasha's body lying in bed, partially clothed, wrapped in a comforter with the harsh stench of bleach hanging in the air. Her shirt and bra were torn, her throat crushed, and bruises marked her chest. So the medical examiner confirmed Sasha had been strangled with brutal force, her neck injuries so horrific that they compared them to a car crash. Someone had tried to cover their tracks, but the scene screamed foul play. Immediately, the police jumped right into a serious investigation, searching every inch of Sasha's apartment for clues. Her car was still in the garage, her things untouched, showing that she hadn't gone anywhere. But with no signs of a forced entry and that heavy bleach smell, it seemed the killer was careful and had an easy access, which led the detectives to zero in on Sasha's closest people, piecing together her last hours and digging into a tangled group of suspects who might hold the answers to her death. So, as the investigation got more intense, 2 people stood out as possible suspects, each with their reasons for maybe wanting to hurt Sasha, and the biggest suspect at that point was Sasha's ex-boyfriend, Taylor. Sasha had recently parted ways with Taylor. Though their breakup was amicable, unresolved feelings might have grown, potentially driving Taylor to harm her, and also rumors of Sasha's infidelity surfaced, pointing to another suspect, Ben, another former partner. Maybe Ben also learned of Taylor's involvement, and jealousy spurred him to confront Sasha. With theories and leads mounting, the police pressed on, summoning both ex-boyfriends for questioning. They complied, even providing DNA samples, but these didn't match the male DNA found on Sasha's chest and neck. Moreover, surveillance footage from Sasha's house showed neither was present on the night she died. And as the case seemed to stall, the police turned back to their surveillance footage, scrutinizing it for any overlooked clue, and that was when they uncovered something startling. At 1:48 a.m., Sasha was seen wandering the halls and staircases, trying to find her apartment. She appeared disoriented, making noise with her flip-flops. And still, at 2:06 a.m., she was seen running through the halls, still alone. But by 2:25 a.m., surveillance footage captured Steven, a 33-year-old Air Force veteran and security guard at Sasha's apartment complex, Uptown Place, walking with her. Likely concerned about her wandering, he accompanied her toward her apartment, then back out, before they finally headed to her unit together. But just 3 minutes later, at 5:05 a.m., surveillance footage showed Steven emerging alone, and it wasn't long after news of Sasha's death broke. And with that, the police turned their attention to Steven Duxbury. Initially, Steven seemed like an unlikely suspect. As a security guard, he barely registered as a concern. He only drew attention because the surveillance footage placed him as the last person seen with Sasha alive, suggesting he might hold a key detail. But when the police brought him in for questioning, the interrogation revealed a brutal, shocking twist that turned the case upside down. When Steven entered the interrogation room to discuss Sasha's death, he appeared confident at first, as many suspects do, believing that they could outsmart seasoned detectives. But he had no clue what was coming for him. And the detective, noting his composure, began with personal questions about his life to ease him into talking. The tactic worked as Steven, without realizing it, started revealing details of his past crime.
Ever been arrested? Yes, juvenile. Juvenile, okay. And what was that for? That was, do I have to discuss my juvenile record? Even though we don't. Okay. Well, I'll just put it as juvenile. It's a really jacked up situation that happens. You guys understand. We all have life experiences. We all done stupid shit when we were young. Yeah. And we've grown from those. You know, you're not actively still doing the same silly stuff. So it's all part of living.
At first, Steven didn't want to talk, but the detective played it smart, getting him to open up about nearly raping his friend's older sister. Seeing Steven loosen up, the detective went straight for it and asked about Sasha and their encounter the night before she died. And that was when the truth started coming out.
When was the last time you saw her? What's her name? I think, well, I know because I saw the news stuff, but it's like Sasha something or other. Okay, Sasha. Okay, so when was the last time you had contact with her? Yeah, well, was it the night before? Yeah, it was Friday night. Okay, so when you first had contact with her on Friday night, yep. What was the situation? I had been doing a perimeter patrol, and I had come upon 3 girls that were at the Marks and North Orange entrance, and looked like they were trying to get inside the building. So I'm like, evening ladies, having an issue with the thing, and then kind of chuckling because I see that happen all the time with the drunks. Mm-hmm. Well, as I'm starting to walk off, then I got called over by 2 of the ladies. They told me that this was their friend, and they really didn't know her. They found her wandering around downtown somewhere in kind of a drunken, stupor. I mean, the way she was moving, she looked like she was pretty out of it. And I guess they got out of her where she lived, so they brought her to Uptown, but she didn't have her key fob with her. She didn't have her keys. She didn't even have any ID. And I'm like, well, if she doesn't have any of that, I cannot help her. I cannot allow her into the building based on what my policies are. Right.
Here, Steven answers confidently at first. He had no reason to lie since the camera caught everything he described. Lying would only mess him up, but as the questioning went on, secrets started to come undone.
Well, as I'm talking to them, another resident, a male, an older gentleman, comes up, and he sees us all there, and he kind of chuckles. He's like, "You guys aren't all robbers, are you?" I'm like, "No, sir." And, kind of looking at my uniform. And he's like, "Okay." Opens the door, walks in, she follows. Finish talking with the ladies, I go in, intent on, finding where this girl is to make sure that, she actually is supposed to be here. She's not just wandering around the building. Well, she was just wandering around the building for a while. Finally, I guess she gets to her apartment, 3:45, and she's trying to enter in the code. She's got one of those digital deadbolt things with the buttons on the outside where you can enter in a code. And how did you find her on the third floor? I patrolled. I checked the buildings. I checked the floors. So how did she get up there? Do you know? Either elevator or stairs. There are, multiple. There are 2 different elevators and 4 different stairwells in the building. So you don't know how she got up there, but you were just patrolling and you come across her on the 3rd floor? Yes. Okay. Yeah, and so she's doing that, and, it's like, I cannot let someone just hang around in the building, trying, outside their apartment, if, say if they got locked out, and I didn't know exactly what to do, because, she's obviously intoxicated, completely gone. So have you ever seen her before? No, never. Never seen her before? No, actually, at first I thought she was a different female. So she thought maybe she had she left her keys in her car, so she asked me if I would bring her to the parking garage, because since she doesn't have a key fob, she wouldn't be able to get back into the building. So I'm like, sure, whatever. I've dealt with this before with other drunks who have done stuff like that. So I walk out with her, and before we even get to a car, she's like, wait, I think I remember the number now. So we go back in. I bring her to the door. She's there, punching the numbers away, trying to, remember what it is. And I'm just thinking to myself, God damn it. Not exactly the smartest, or not the smartest, but the most professional way to be thinking this. But I have to babysit a lot of drunks in that place. Oh, and it's just a pain in my ass. So I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna leave you here. Keep trying to, plug away at this. When I come back, if you have not figured this out, we're gonna have to do something about this. Which is either she's gonna have to figure out, somehow get a hold of her friend, or I'm going to call them PD and have them deal with her. Okay. When I come back around after walking around, she's not there. So I'm like, okay, she must be in the building. She must have gotten in, because I checked the building, there was no sign of her.
And now Stephen stuck to his story, describing the incident as shown on the surveillance camera, claiming that he was just helping Sasha, but skipped whether she got into her room or if he went in with her. And unfortunately no cameras cover the hallway to Sasha's room, so he used that gap to dodge the truth, banking on her drunkenness to make his tale believable. But just when Stephen thought that he had sold the story, the detective threw him off with one sharp question.
Now, do you have a residence log so you know who lives in what apartment?
I do, but I can't because she has no idea.
But can't she tell you what her name is and you can look it up and make sure?
Yeah, well, I could have done that. When they were going through the call box initially, she said what her name was, and it did come up on the log. I remember that now. But without her phone to dial herself in, she wouldn't have been able to access the building. Right. But plus, most of the residents there will not let some random person into the building. They will actually just know you come in with whoever you're supposed to be coming with, or you call them up. They will not just let people in. So when that gentleman let her in, I assumed, he knows that she lives here. And then later on in the evening during my patrol, I thought I saw her again with some guy.
You thought you saw the same girl?
Yeah, I didn't really get a good look at her face, but the height, the hair, and the skin color was about the same thing. And again, like I said, I'd never seen this woman before, so.
Was she wearing the same clothes?
Well, the pants were, I think, the same, but I think she had changed her top to like a white top or something. Again, they weren't doing anything that was really out of the ordinary, so I just kind of glanced at them and just continued on my.
Stephen admitted he checked Sasha's name and confirmed she lived in the building, and yet he still blocked her entry. This could suggest he was targeting her from the start, hoping to take advantage of her drunken state. He even lied to the detective, claiming Sasha had no ID for the building. Maybe he kept her outside on purpose, hoping to lure her to a quiet spot away from the cameras to harm her. But another resident showing up might have ruined his plan. And not only did Stephen give shaky answers about whether Sasha proved who he was, he also made up a story about seeing her later with some random guys, likely to throw the police off and send them chasing off after a guy who might not exist. He thought he could trick the detective, but he was wrong. And as he kept on telling his story based on the CCTV footage, the detective was ready to play the next move.
What can you tell me about polygraph? the lie detector. I know you're going to be sticking like electrode things or whatever, basically sensors to me, and it's going to measure my response based on questions you ask.
After the detective spotted holes in Stephen's story, he brought in a polygraph, and after explaining why it was needed and running some quick checks, they started the test. And it was at that point that Stephen's confidence began to fade.
Do you know if Sasha was poisoned? No. Was shot with a .22? No.
At first, Stephen continued with his calm and confident attitude while answering the polygraph's questions, but soon his body language gave him away. Nervous, with his heart rate spiking. Worried his lies were unraveling, he made a reckless move, thinking he could still fool the detective.
Heart rate so high? Oh, yeah. I know that heart disease runs in my family. Hopefully this isn't a precursor.
Stephen suddenly claimed that he might have a heart condition during the test, something he never mentioned before even when asked. It raised red flags about his honesty. Still, the detective kept the polygraph going, and minutes after the test ended, the results looked bad for Stephen.
When a person has more issues with the relevant question than they do the control question, then, because we all know, and we've all had these issues where, there's been a time in your life where we've had physical contacts or physical issues with people. Okay, we've been in fights, we've done all that stuff, and it's kind of, we know that, but when we ask the question, that's supposed to bother you more because you're kind of lying about that because you're remembering an incident, compared to you shouldn't have any problem with the issue at hand if there was nothing involved there. Okay, so technically the control questions should look like this, and the relevance should look like the controls. Okay. So saying is this is not good? This is not good. So that means there's something there. There's something that you're not telling the complete truth about. Something's bothering you about this situation, and you're not being 100% honest with me about it. That's what I can tell you, and that's all I can tell the detectives, that there is something there that you're not being 100% honest about. Now, if she invited you in to have a few drinks or something like that, or whatever it was, you need to be honest about it, because this is saying you know something, and that something happened.
At this moment, the pressure started to build, and it only got worse when the interrogator stepped back, letting the detective take over. They played mind games, pushing Stephen to confess, and feeling trapped, Stephen made a final, desperate try to wiggle out of the mess. But he didn't realize that it would be the worst move he would ever make.
Okay, I'm not trying to get you to say anything that didn't happen. I'm just telling you the way it works. You understand what I'm saying? You didn't want to hurt her.
I didn't hurt.
It would at least been great that you did go inside. Now you made out of her.
I did not go inside of her apartment.
So a lot of physical evidence, even after she invited you in.
She didn't invite me into her apartment.
So you know there's audio. There's audio. We can hear you too.
She didn't invite me into her apartment. And if we're going to continue on this line of discussion, I think we're done here for now. Then I'm going to go home, I'm going to take a nap, and I'm going to go to work. If you guys want to talk to me again some other time, we'll have a lawyer involved, because at this point, I don't feel comfortable talking with you detectives. Because it sounds to me like you're trying to make me say something like I did something and I did not.
We want the truth is all we want.
Well, you have the truth.
If Stephen truly knew nothing about Sasha's death, answering the detective's questions should have been easy. Instead, he shut down, refusing to talk without a lawyer when he felt the heat closing in, a move that screamed guilt. And after some back and forth, he was allowed to leave the interrogation room, but he was far from in the clear. Sure that Stephen was hiding something, the police dug into his phone, home, and the crime scene for clues. A big break came from checking his phone, which revealed a chilling clue about his intentions. With a search warrant, Orlando police checked Stephen's phone and found a Google search from 5 a.m. on October 17, 2015, just hours before Sasha's body was found. He looked up ways to unlock a digital deadbolt, like the quickset smart key on Sasha's door, without leaving marks. Tech experts said the search showed he wanted to sneak into her apartment unnoticed, and this clue changed everything. The search, done after his last sighting with Sasha at 2:25 a.m., suggested he planned it, not just helped her as he claimed. Furthermore, Stephen's phone was wiped clean, which police saw as his move to hide damning evidence. Though they were able to recover the Google search history, the reset alone made him look guilty, like he knew his phone held proof. And while the phone search showed his plan, physical clues linked him straight to Sasha's apartment and her murder. The police then searched his Port Orange home and the crime scene again, and what they found next was shocking. The police found Stephen's thumbprints on Sasha's apartment, one on the bathroom toilet seat, another on her bedroom nightstand. These proved he lied when he swore he never ever went inside of her place. His DNA was also on Sasha's chest and neck, showing he was close to her body, matching the detective's idea of an attempted sexual attack. Plus, a partial shoe print near Sasha's bed matched the boots from Stephen's home. But even the crime scene itself held even more clues. A condom wrapper lay near Sasha's bed, suggesting a sexual motive, though there was no proof of completed intercourse. The heavy bleach smell, with Sasha's body and bed reeking of cleaning solution, showed someone had tried to erase DNA. Her shirt and bra were torn open, her throat was badly crushed, and her chest bruised from several hits, the autopsy revealed. This backed the idea that Stephen tried to sexually assault her, and then killed her when she fought back. The combination of digital and physical clues told a grim story. Stephen, using his security guard job, targeted Sasha when she was drunk and defenseless after a night out. His search for bypassing locks showed he planned to sneak into her apartment hours after their last filmed moment. His DNA, fingerprints, and shoe prints put him at the scene, while the bleach smell pointed to a cover-up. Scratches on his arm matched Sasha's defensive wounds, and his wiped phone and fake story about a random guy made him look even guiltier.
Sasha Samsudin was found murdered in her apartment. Today, our detectives have arrested Stephen Duxbury, the security guard from Uptown Apartments, in connection with this case. Stephen Duxbury is charged with first-degree murder, sexual battery, and burglary to an occupied dwelling.
And on October 30th, 2015, 2 weeks after Sasha's murder, U.S. Marshals arrested Stephen at his Port Orange home. He faced charges of first-degree murder, attempted sexual assault with force, and burglary with assault. The mountain of evidence left no doubt about his guilt. At trial in November 2017, prosecutors showed 101 pieces of evidence over 6 days. They played surveillance footage, Stephen's recorded interviews, and displayed the comforter wrapped around Sasha, her torn clothes, and forensic results. Tech experts pointed out at 5 a.m. Google searches for bypassing locks. Forensic experts confirmed Stephen's DNA and fingerprints, and jurors saw photos of his scratched arms and the bleach-drenched crime scene. They also heard from autopsy reports about the severity of Sasha's injuries. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found Duxbury guilty on all counts on November 21, 2017. Judge Lisa Munyan sentenced him to 2 consecutive life sentences without parole for murder and attempted sexual battery, plus 15 years for burglary, and he's currently incarcerated at Graceville Correctional Facility in Jackson County, Florida. And yeah, before we conclude the story, let's pause for a moment of silence to honor Sasha's memory, taken too soon by someone she trusted to protect her. Stephen Duxbury's betrayal as a security guard not only stole her life, but also shattered the lives of those who loved her. This tragedy reminds us that evil actions ripple far beyond the guilty, hurting the innocent most. The brutal murder of a young woman by a man, meant to ensure her safety, is a chilling warning that monsters can hide in plain sight. My heart aches for Sasha and all victims of such heartless crimes. May justice bring them solace. This case gripped the whole of Florida, with some calling it the Guardian betrayal, for how Stephen, a supposed protector, turned predator. Like a twisted tale, it mirrors the fall of someone entrusted with safety, who became a cold-blooded killer, now serving life behind bars. Sadly, this tragedy left countless lives broken. A family grieving over their daughter, friends mourning a vibrant soul, and a community shaken by a guard who became a monster. All destroyed by the hands of one man's dark choices. That's all for today. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more true crime stories.
I wish I was there! I wish I was with him every second of the day that day! I wish I watched every single... But I'm not his goddamn mom! are so unbelievable.
This is what happens when the killer realizes that their lies aren't going to work anymore. As for how this all happened, let's talk about it from the start. On September 3rd, 2023, around 4 o'clock in the night, the Minot Police Department received a call from a person who complained to them about a neighbor who was going around the neighborhood harassing everyone. The police immediately arrived on the scene and started questioning all the residents around them. One of those residents is Ina Knoyer, a 48-year-old woman living in an apartment with her 51-year-old fiancé, Steve Riley. The police knock on Ina's door and start questioning her about the usual questions, like what happened with Chad and who he was fighting with.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Sorry.
You thought it was Chad?
Yeah.
Who was Chad out here?
Trying to kick in everybody's door.
Who was he out here
busted to my light, and look at the garbage cans.
Who was here? Who was he fighting with out here?
My fiance. He went for a walk, cool down.
Okay.
Ina informs the police about Chad's misbehavior and how he busted her lights and even got into a fight with her fiancé. After learning of what happened, the police ask Ina if her fiancé has any phone on him. This is where things start to get interesting, as out of nowhere, Ina mentions something about inheritance money and how it would change their entire lives.
Where do you think your fiancé would have went, so we could just get inside the story real quick?
Oh, I don't know.
Has he got a phone on him?
No, we don't have a phone until this afternoon, later this afternoon. He gets his inheritance this afternoon. That's why we're moving.
Gotcha.
We're going to pay all our bills off that we need to pay off. His lawyer gets here today at 2 to sign the paperwork for his money.
Okay.
And then he's going to go pay that. And his lawyer going to pay the rest of his child support.
Ina continues to mention this fact throughout the conversation, and from her words, it's clear that she just wants to brag and nothing else. The police don't care about this too much, as they just want to be over this call and go back to their house to get some good sleep before it's morning again. But what they didn't know was that this seemingly careless remark would soon become the most important clue in the upcoming case of a mysterious homicide. The following day, the Minot Police Department receives an emergency call from Ina Knoyer, who informs the operator that her fiancé Steve is not responding to her at all and seems to be unconscious.
Hey!
911.
What?
What?
My husband's really sick. He got heat stroke yesterday, and now he's not waking up. And come on, wake up! I've been trying everything. Ice, water.
Okay, but he is breathing?
Yes, he's snoring. Babe! I'm smacking him as hard as I can and put my fist into his chest, but he's not responding.
Ina informs the operator that Steve collapsed yesterday due to a heat stroke and didn't wake up, no matter what she tried. She also mentions that she has tried everything she could, whether it was ice water or slapping him across the face to wake him up. One of the key things that Ina mentioned was that Steve was still breathing, but his breath felt as if he was snoring. Now, those who are aware of the medical stuff know that this is a common sign of someone's heart failure, or someone who is breathing their last breaths.
He's been so stressed out about his inheritance and getting the truck done for his son. He's just not paying attention to what he's doing out in that heat. Even though I've yelled at you so many times to drink water. Plenty of water.
Just like yesterday night, Ina once again brings up the topic of inheritance and how Steve was extremely worried about it. She also tries to show her innocence by telling the operator that she was always telling Steve to drink more water, as it was too hot outside. After the operator was done asking a few more questions, she informs Ina that an ambulance is on its way to her address, alongside a police officer to help her out if she needs anything. Soon, an ambulance arrives on the scene alongside the cops, who enter her room and find Steve knocked out cold, lying on the bed, as he seemed to be drenched in sweat. After checking the situation, they drag him out of the house, which is covered in trash and filth, showing that the owners hadn't been taking care of it at all. This gives the cops an idea that the couple might not be in the perfect mental condition, since living in filth is one of the most common signs of depression. Steve is put into the ambulance, which drives him to the hospital. However, the hospital staff realizes that this matter is extremely serious, and they don't have the proper medical equipment to treat him. So, in an emergency situation, Steve is carried away to a nearby big hospital in a chopper to make sure that he arrives there on time before something happens to him. Unfortunately for Steve, too much time has passed since he first started experiencing the symptoms, so soon after he's taken to the bigger hospital, he dies due to his condition worsening even further, as he was never treated on time. This is what causes the cops to become suspicious of Steve's death, as his condition didn't match the details Ina gave to them on the call. If his condition was truly this terrible, she should have immediately taken him to a hospital without any further delay. What makes this the most suspicious is that Steve's death doesn't seem to be natural at all. At first, everyone thought that what Steve was suffering from was nothing but a heat stroke that wasn't taken care of. What Steve suffered was not heat stroke but poisoning, which caused his liver to fail, which eventually led to his untimely death. As for what poison was used, the results showed high traces of ethylene glycol, which is a clear indicator that Steve was poisoned with antifreeze. This normal case of heat stroke emergency was quickly turning into a much more sinister and dark problem than the cops would have ever thought it to be. The following day, the cops arrive once again at Ina's apartment to gather some more clues and interview Ina once again. There, they happen to meet Billy, a close friend of Steve who seems to have a few theories about Steve's death.
I don't want her to sell it because we think she poisoned him. Oh, I'm almost sure she poisoned him.
So what's your plan right now?
We're making sure nothing goes.
Okay.
Nothing goes.
And you're not taking it?
No.
Okay. So are you going to stay here, or what's your plan?
I'll stay right here until make sure nobody takes this stuff. Because you know when they go to jail, the guys, people come and clean out.
How long are you going to stay here?
I'll stay here until his son gets here.
Oh.
His
Whose
son's
son?
out of state.
His son?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he blocked her.
Yeah.
Because she told him that she was selling all this stuff.
Billy tells the officers that he will stay in front of Steve's stuff until his son arrives and takes care of it. He also mentions that Ina was trying to sell all of it, which is why Steve's son blocked her because he got mad at her.
I found out a little while ago that he died. He's dead. Steve's dead.
Okay, when's the son supposed to get here?
He's not dead! I told you!
He is dead.
He's not.
He's dead.
I just told the son.
And he was poisoned.
Not dead yet.
And he was poisoned.
So when's the son supposed to get here?
We don't know yet.
The officers are quite serious about his son, so they ask him where he's going to here. But then Ina comes out of the house and starts yelling that Steve isn't dead. However, Billy seems to be annoyed by her, and that's when he reveals a clue that the police didn't expect him to know either.
And he come out and he was holding his head down. And then we're supposed to go up to the airport and meet this guy because he's supposed to get quite a bit of money.
As Billy continues with his story, he mentions something that the officers have previously heard from Ina, and that was the hefty cash amount that Steve was going to get from his lawyer guy at the airport. This seemingly small clue, which they had overlooked in the past, starts to make sense in this whole grand scheme of things happening in this neighborhood.
And actually, that truck belongs to Wes.
Who's Wes?
Wes that lives out the radar base.
Yeah.
And he'll be here in a little bit too.
Just a few moments later, Billy mentions another key figure in the event, who is Wes, the person who owns the truck that Steve was working on for his son, and also the person whom Steve was willing to trust with some of his secrets.
Well, she's not happy. She was supposed to call the ambulance. She never called the ambulance.
Billy also mentions another key clue, which will come in handy later on, as he talks about Ina not being happy and that she didn't even call the ambulance when Steve fell sick yesterday.
Steve collapsed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the hospital. I found out he was poisoned.
How'd you find that out?
Doctor told me.
Doctor told you?
I'm just telling you, son, don't ever stop after these people. They're nasty people. They're nasty. Somebody comes and steals his truck after, if it's true.
After talking to Billy, the officers knock on Ina's door once again. She comes out and informs the police of what she knows. Surprisingly, she also mentions the poisoning, and when asked how she knew, she talks about taking him to the hospital where she discovered that he was poisoned. After talking to Ina for a few more minutes, the officers are about to leave when they accidentally break the news of Steve's death to Ina.
I thought everybody knew. I'm sorry.
Don't tell me anything! Oh my God!
I guess his son is on his way here. Okay. Apparently his son is on the way here.
Ina breaks down in tears and stays in that condition for about 10 seconds before acting as if nothing happened. This indicates Ina's lack of compassion for Steve, which makes her an even bigger suspect in the officers' eyes. The next day, which is September 6th, the officers once again arrived at Ina's property to ask her a few more questions.
I want him to pick not me.
Is this the paperwork on the thing? Or?
No. This is property that Steve was buying after his inheritance got here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to... I think he left it to his son, but I had to Google where to go to get his inheritance switched over to the people he left it to. I don't know.
Okay.
They expected Ina to still be heartbroken by Steve's death, but in reality, she didn't seem to care at all, as the only thing she cared about at the moment was Steve's inheritance that he was going to get when he died.
Yeah, we were going to get all his fines paid off, get both of our license, get some new cars,
okay,
go to Ireland, get married, stay in his family castle or whatever, because that's what he wanted to do.
Wow.
And the day he was supposed to meet his lawyer at the airport, apparently I thought it was Heathrow, and he said it was Heathrow. That was the last day I talked to him.
Okay.
Ina once again starts to brag about how they were going to get the money and pay all their fines and move to Ireland and buy a castle there to spend the rest of their days in luxury. She doesn't seem to care that her husband is dead, as the only thing on her mind is the inheritance money.
I was right about his friends, because when I left him a while back, like a year ago, I told him, you gotta go with me. Your friends are gonna fucking kill you. You gotta leave them. I don't care if you're here, but get a real job and don't ever talk to them again, because they will kill you.
Realizing that the officers might be getting suspicious of her, Ina shifts the topic to Steve's friends and how she knew they always thought badly of Steve. She was afraid that they might unalive Steve, which is why she suggested that he find a real job and settle somewhere else.
I'm finding out with antifreeze.
Okay.
The compounds, they're similar to antifreeze.
Huh.
I don't know. He ingested it smoking a cigarette, because he was always spilling crap on his cigarettes and smoking it, or if somebody did it, but...
To make herself look more credible, Ina starts talking about the poisoning, as she mentions that she had learned it from the doctor that it was antifreeze. She blames it on Steve's bad habit of spilling all sorts of things on his cigarettes and smoking them, even if they were drenched in all sorts of things.
How to get a hold of the guy in London with his inheritance. He should be here in town. I don't understand, so why he never showed up at the airport. Trying to figure out why.
After talking about Steve for a while, she goes back to the inheritance money once again, as she explains her trouble over the fact that she can't get a hold of the lawyer from London, who is supposed to give Steve the inheritance papers. From this footage, it's revealed that Ina cares for only one thing, and that is the inheritance money. However, the police weren't interested in the whole inheritance thing until they found out how big that sum was. Initially, they thought that it might just be a couple $1,000s, but after learning that it was $37 million, the police started to get suspicious of it and decided to dig deeper. It was clear by this point that the inheritance was the core issue, but what really was this inheritance money? After digging through some information, the officers soon find that Steve received a text from his unknown uncle a few months ago, who mentioned that he was from Ireland and that he had been searching for his family for a long time. It It was not until now that he was able to finally find Steve, who was the only living member of his family. That unknown uncle wanted Steve to be his heir as he was worried that he might pass away soon. And that unknown uncle mentioned to Steve that the inheritance was worth $17 million, which, after selling all the properties, quickly turned into $37 million. This sum of money was everything that Steve wanted in his life, so he was more than excited to receive it. A few months later, just a few weeks before his death, Steve received a text from a lawyer who was coming from London to Minot just to hand over the inheritance papers to Steve. Steve broke this news to his fiancée, Ina, who was extremely happy for him at the start, but soon started to resent him for it. The jealousy got the better of her, which led to Ina taking the biggest step of her life in killing Steve by using antifreeze poisoning. The matter was placed into the hands of the detectives, who started to gather all the evidence they had by now to gather a list of suspects to interview, so that they could use all that information to pin down who the perpetrator is. The detectives first called Ryan, Steve's son, who gave his testimony about what had happened and the things he knew about both Steve and Ina.
How long ago was this conversation about the money? Like, how long has he been talking about getting this money?
Past several months. I know I think it was last year too, he mentioned something like that as well. About apparent like some uncle or something, but I guess it was just like family inheritance.
Okay, so he told you it was a family inheritance? Okay. Do you remember a name to the family member?
No, I'm trying to figure that out. I know he's mentioned about this uncle and all that, but when I went to their apartment yesterday.
Is she, and she's referring to, do you know how much money it is? Did she ever say? Has anybody
It's
told
like a
you?
total of like 37 million.
Okay.
I don't know if it's including this property or not, or what all's going on.
The inheritance, did he talk about how much money he was going to get from the inheritance to you? Did he ever mention how much?
I think it was 37 million, something like that. I know she's got all the emails and stuff for some reason, even though they're not married.
From Ryan's words, the detectives can deduce that he didn't know much about the inheritance, much less the mysterious uncle who was supposed to be this ultra-rich millionaire.
Then I know Ina yesterday went around saying that my dad had died from antifreeze poisoning, which was very specific, but I know the hospital can't release any information over the phone, and she's not like related, not married to my dad or anything either.
Right.
So it was at that point I'm like, okay, something's like a little fishy about all this, because a lot of people are saying some sort of poisoning, so I don't know if it's like, this is why I found out about Eno saying that he died from antifreeze poisoning.
Okay.
It's because she messaged me. She was like, did your dad pass from antifreeze? I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been told anything, and I can't really be told over the phone. I have to like go to the hospital to get everything.
Okay. So that she messaged you that? What's your message? Do you have that message?
Ryan also brings up this question about Ina, that she knew that Steve was poisoned with antifreeze, even though she couldn't possibly have known it through the hospital since she wasn't married to Steve and didn't have any connection with him except for her status as his fiancée.
Yeah.
And then all the lawyer stuff, she like, I don't know, seemed to know too much about that.
Do you feel like she knew too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what I mentioned earlier, for like going to the bank, having like, it was like pictures. So it was like, I'm assuming it's his phone. She had like his phone and then her phone. And it was like looking through his email.
Okay. And she was screenshotting it? Okay.
She like took pictures.
Ryan's suspicion of Ina increased once he realized that she knew too much about the whole inheritance and lawyer stuff, despite her not being a part of it at all, as Steve wasn't even married to her.
Yeah, I remember I think it was after like my dad's little fight incident thing. He asked them for like a ride to one of the airports, like the bigger portion of it, and then I guess this attorney or whoever my dad was trying to see wasn't at that big one. I guess the flight was supposed to be at like 9. I don't know if if it was like in the morning or at night. I'd assume like 9 p.m. And so they went to the smaller part of the airport where it's like the executive flights or whatever, those smaller planes. And they waited until like 10 and he never showed up. So then, why am I blanking on this part? I think they took him back to the house. And then he mentioned how, like, this was like before he even like went to the hospital and stuff, but Ina had like kept him inside the house. I guess when Wes went to go see him and stuff, he looked like really tired and was asking for salt. So he went to the store to get like a bag of chips and stuff for him. And my dad barely ate like one chip. I guess he was just like, just nodding off. And like fell asleep. And then
This is all inside the apartment. Okay, and Wes was inside the apartment.
Ryan also told the detectives about the meeting that his father had with his lawyer, but he didn't go there alone as he had his friend Wes with him. However, when the lawyer didn't show up even after waiting for hours, he took Steve back home, where everything started to go wrong. After interviewing Ryan, the detectives brought in Rebecca, who was the noisy neighbor of the town and knew everything there was, from the smallest gossip to the biggest rumors.
So Steve had mentioned before, like in the past, about getting money.
Yes.
How many? Like
$2 million.
Okay, so he was gonna make $2 million. How many times? Like how far back is he? Are you talking?
This is going back. I've heard this for the past 5 months. I want to say.
Okay.
He said his uncle died. He was getting an inheritance of $2 million. He was going to buy the apartment building. But again, I could care less. I work. That has nothing to do with me. But I didn't. I was like, he could just be because he's a man. It's hard for him to ask me for stuff.
Sure.
And he knows I work hard.
Right as the interview began, the detective immediately started asking Rebecca about the biggest clue to their case yet, the inheritance money. Rebecca claimed that it was $2 million, which is not what Ryan had told them. The detective immediately realized that Steve must have lied to them about the actual sum.
Did he ever talk about how he was like? Was he communicate? Did he talk about how he communicated with somebody about that inheritance? Was it through a will or was it through
a lawyer?
A lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
He had a lawyer, and he wrote out a will. Because at first he said he was going to leave it to Ina, and then they were fighting, and a couple months later he said he went back and changed the will.
Okay. So Steve does have a will, do you think? According to
what he verbally told me, yes, he did. And he changed it. He had one will, and about a month or two later he said he changed that will because he had left everything to Ina and he didn't want to do that. So he told me, he was like, don't tell Ina, but I changed it.
How long ago was that?
That was recently when he told me he changed it. I'm going to say...
Did he say anything in particular about why he would change it, or just...
Because she's a bitch, he said.
Rebecca realized what the detective wanted to know, so she gave them everything she knew about the inheritance and how Steve wanted to hand it over to Ina, but after a few fights with her, he eventually decided to change the will and name it to someone else.
So she comes up and says he's in a coma.
Yep. And I was like, what? He was just here, what?
And then she says he was being poisoned, and they've been... Who did...
The guy in the blue truck.
That's who she says was poisoned?
Yes.
Okay.
I was telling Steve all week he was being poisoned because he was getting sicker and sicker.
That's what she was saying?
Yes, she did.
Rebecca continues with her accusations against Ina as she mentions the day that Steve was carried to the hospital, and when she met Ina, she told her that he was being poisoned by someone.
So she's still talking about
Oh,
being
she's
poisoned.
dead set that he was poisoned.
But she doesn't... No one has told her that.
No.
Okay.
But no, at first she told me the hospital told her that.
Okay.
But then her story switched to that's what she that's what she's saying happened to him.
Okay.
That she hasn't gotten any, because I said, who told you this, Ina?
Yeah.
I'm no dummy. I know it takes a couple days autopsies, like.
Right.
Like, she was saying poison before the man was even cold.
Right. He was still in
I
a
didn't
coma
need to say
or
it
whatever,
like
but
that.
Yeah. Nope, and that's the truth, yeah.
Did she say what made her think he was poisoned with antifreeze?
She said, all she kept saying, she said Billy and them were poisoning him because he was getting sicker and sicker. So she said they were bringing him food and milk, so she said they were poisoning him. Then someone else was poisoning him, that other guy. Then it was everybody, but why, like...
Rebecca continued with her suspicion against Ina and how she knew that someone was poisoning Steve. However, she couldn't have known it because the hospital wouldn't have given her any information, as she clearly wasn't directly related to Steve.
He was up there, and then she's like, I just want to let you know I found the will papers. And his son just looked at me and rolled his eyes, and he went down, and that's, I don't know. I went back up to my apartment.
Okay.
But she was still...
So she said in front of you, though, that she found will papers?
Yes. Yep.
Rebecca also told the detectives that Ina came to her house after she saw Ryan and told her that she had found the will papers. This made her even more suspicious, as her husband had just died, and she was already looking for the will papers. Questioning Rebecca gave a lot of clues to the detectives, who now knew how to pinpoint Ina and get everything worth knowing from her. So the time came, and Ina was called to the interview where the detectives started to cleverly use their techniques to set up traps within traps like a spider's web. Ina, being the prey, fell into the traps unknowingly, not knowing what was coming for her in just a few moments. Just like the previous suspects, the police first questioned about the inheritance, which seemed to be the core of this entire homicide case.
So when did he find out about this inheritance?
I want to say 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Ina's answer wasn't far away from what the detectives had learned in the past, but the next few details will leave them in a confused state, as it was too bizarre.
And he was reading that the money wasn't cursed or whatever. He's like, every single person that went for the Riley money over there,
yeah,
even this 21-year-old, had passed away.
What do you mean? I guess the inheritance had been left for other people too, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, is it cursed? And people that go after it are dying? He's like, I don't know, maybe. I was like, well, then don't go after it. How silly is that, you know?
Ina told the detectives that Steve thought that the money was cursed, so he was making sure that if something happened to him, then someone would be there to inherit his will.
How much money was it?
It was supposed to be $17 million, but with all the property sold off, it ended up being $37 million.
So there was cash on the property.
Ina's answer to this question wasn't far from the truth that they had learned on their own, but what made her suspicious was that she knew everything. This also made her a prime target once again.
At 11?
Yeah.
Did Steve go to the airport at 11?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Wes's son stayed behind at the airport, because that's when Steve started getting really, really sick. And I kept begging him to let me call the ambulance. And he's like, no, I'll be fine with some sleep.
Ina blamed Steve's own decision for not going to the hospital and tried to make herself look good by telling the detectives that she practically begged Steve, but he still didn't listen. Afterwards, Ina talked to the lawyers about the timeline of events that had happened at the airport, which is a lot to listen to, so I'll explain it in short. She first told the detectives that after Steve felt sick, Wes's son took the matter into his own hands and went to meet the lawyer, but after finding out that he was still not there, he returned home. Afterwards, Steve himself once again rode his bike to the airport at 11 a.m., but there was no lawyer at the airport.
Wait, but I'm still on the 11 o'clock in the morning one. You said that Wes's son went there at 11.
No, that was 11 o'clock at night.
Okay, I thought that was Sunday at 11, 2, and 8, you said.
Oh.
So you said there was a morning one.
Yes.
And that was at 11.
Yes, that's the one where he rode his bike to.
Ina's stumbling over her own words raises even more suspicion in the detectives' hearts as they start pressuring Ina more to have her reveal the truth by herself.
Your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waiting for 2 o'clock.
Okay. And what happens then?
I finished helping him get dressed. I put him a belt on. And he got into Wes's car.
Okay.
And they stopped at the gas station at Senex for some iced tea.
This is at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's when he started getting really sick and really wobbly, and I kept begging him to go to the hospital. But Wes, I guess, talked Steve out of going to the hospital. And it was just heat stroke.
Ina continues with her side of the story, where she eventually arrives at the main topic, where Steve got really, really sick, which made them come home to have him get some rest. She insisted that it was Steve who forbade them to call an ambulance, and that he just wanted to cool down and have rest, as it was probably just a heat stroke.
So what do you think is wrong with Steve at this point?
Huh?
Like, why, what do you think is wrong with Steve? Why is he sick?
I thought they were right. It was heat stroke. Because he wasn't puking yet, and it was like finally kind of sleeping in and out. You know,
Steve was?
You'd sleep for a little bit, and then you'd wake up, drink some water, go pee, sleep on the couch, wake up.
Ina later explained what happened after they took Steve home, and how his condition started to worsen as he kept sleeping in and out and frequently went to the washroom, which made her confused as she started to believe that it was heat stroke.
Tell me that again?
You said the doctor told you it was he was maybe poisoned.
Yeah.
What is the first things that come to your mind when you hear that?
Stealing his truck, because Billy's pretty much every time him and Lynn put Steve in jail, they actually stole stuff out of his truck or his vehicle that.
Okay. So what would they get out of it? Getting the truck? That's all they would get? And the fact that then Steve.
I don't know how
Okay.
Billy thinks. He's messed up in the head. They're nasty people, I'm telling you. But that's the only.
I'm not doubting that they're nasty. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to wrap my head around who.
The detectives asked Ina what she thought when she heard from the doctors that Steve was poisoned. Ina's answer was still against Steve's friends, especially Billy, whom she turned into a villain who wanted to steal his truck. The detectives kept on going with their questions as they now had enough information to pin it down on Ina and make her confess.
I just have a lot of concerns here, okay, and I'm just going to be honest with you. You told the paramedics when they were there that morning or afternoon that he had been drinking till 5 in the morning, that he had been consuming alcohol. That's on body cam. Okay, you said he was drinking all day the day before and that he drank his last drink at 5 a.m. Okay, and now you're telling me he didn't drink. That's not what you say on this video. Okay.
I want to see this video.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to show you the body cam. I'm just telling you that that's what's on there. There's reports that Wes came to the house that morning, and you said that Steve was at the walk-in clinic. He wasn't at the walk-in clinic.
Steve didn't want to see Wes anymore.
Okay, but Steve wasn't at the walk-in clinic.
He was at the hospital.
He wasn't at the hospital. He wasn't anywhere yet. Because
He was
it's been
at the
verified. He
hospital.
wasn't when Wes was there. Okay.
He just left with the ambulance when Wes showed up there.
That's not what's been reported to us. Wes was there prior to.
Yeah, the timestamps prove that.
I want a lawyer.
Okay, that's fine.
Am I being arrested?
Nope, you're not being arrested. We're just talking. So, but if you want a lawyer, we can stop talking right now. That's fine.
But I'm telling you the God honest truth.
I
don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I wish I was there. I wish I was with him every second of the day that day. I wish I watched every single. But I'm not his goddamn mom.
You asked for a lawyer, Ina, so we're just gonna end this now. Okay, I'm not gonna talk anymore. All right.
You guys are so unbelievable.
It was at this moment, Ina's whole kingdom of lies collapsed as she smoothly fell into the detective's trap. After realizing that she can't run away anymore, Ina asked for a lawyer. After this interview with Ina, the officers had enough proof to request a search warrant for the property, which they immediately got, and after looking through the house, they found all the clues that were needed to arrest Ina for good. At the property, the officers discovered a few containers that Ina had been using to poison Steve. One of these containers was a bottle of window cleaner, which had antifreeze coolant inside. The second container was a Coors Light beer, a beer that Steve typically drank. The third container was the mug that Steve used to drink iced tea from, and not so surprisingly, it also had coolant inside of it. Moreover, they also found the coolant inside of original bottles in the garage, which further solidified their proof for Ina's arrest. After putting all the things together, the officers were able to make up most of the story, which went like this. After learning that Steve was going to leave her after getting the inheritance, Ina became crazy and decided to poison Steve using antifreeze. But she knew that Steve might catch on, so she only did it secretly by mixing the coolant in his iced tea, which made the tea sweeter as the ethylene glycol inside the coolant is very sweet. This helped her mask the coolant inside of Steve's iced tea, which allows her to easily poison him without letting anyone know what had happened to Steve. After learning the truth, the officers immediately decided to arrest Ina, who was chilling at her home without a care in the world.
I wasn't even out there. In the garage.
I know.
Please lock up my house.
Yeah, we'll lock up the house for you.
I'll give you the keys, but...
Yeah, we'll lock the house up for you. Is there anything you need?
Yes? Why me?
So right If we let you smoke a cigarette, you're gonna be decent?
Oh, I'm decent all the time.
So, I never dealt with you, so just don't want you
Never
spaz
been
out.
arrested before like this. I've never done anything. I haven't done anything.
Right.
Not ever.
But we'll let you smoke a cigarette. Just don't spaz out on us or anything. Alright? That a little deal?
After being arrested, Ina still tries to prove herself innocent, as she tells the officers that she has never been arrested before and has done nothing wrong. The officers ask her to chill and even give her a cigarette so that she may stay calm and cooperate with them.
If I was going to kill him, I would have killed him the day he lied to me and I found out he was doing drugs.
So, I'm just gonna grab you on so you don't fall, alright?
And I would have done it physically, not...
Physically?
Yeah, I'm a physical woman, not a... Hide behind your back, kind of.
She becomes so chill that she starts talking to the officers about how she could have killed Steve after learning that he was doing drugs. Now, mind you, previously in the interview, Ina said that Steve came out clean and didn't do any drugs. But now, she had decided to stop making him look good anymore and told the officers the truth that he was a druggie. Afterwards, she is taken to the police department for further paperwork before she can proceed with the trial. Ina's trial was due in 6 months in May 2024, where she pleaded guilty to the murder of her fiancé Steve Riley and was sentenced to lifetime imprisonment with 25 years suspended. The saddest part about this whole case was that there wasn't even any real money involved, as according to the authorities, the whole $37 million inheritance was nothing but a big scam. Sadly, the debt-stricken Steve Riley and Ina Kanoyer were too blind to see the scam, which unfortunately led to the brutal cause of a man dying an untimely death at the hands of his future wife. If you found this case as chilling as we did, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people uncover the truth. And if you want to dive deeper into the darkest corners of true crime, subscribe for more cold hard receipts from the dark side of justice.
Yeah, man, we got up. I took a shower. Just made her coffee.
Okay.
And I went to go take a shower. I heard boom, boom, boom. I got out. And she was laying on the floor.
The man claimed he was taking a shower when 2 shots went off in his bedroom. But something didn't add up. His body was bone dry and scratches covered his skin. This was an indication that a struggle must have happened, which led to the man brutally murdering his wife in cold blood. At this moment, the sheriffs began to realize that this seemingly normal case of an accidental misfire might have been an attempt to hide the carefully constructed facade. It was around 10:30 a.m. that the 911 department received an emergency call. A man in his mid-30s named Keith Johansson informed the operator that his wife, Brandy Salenza, had accidentally shot herself.
Flagler County 911, where's your emergency?
Yes, may I have an officer over at 23 Helter Lane?
23 what?
I was in the shower. I heard gunshots, and I think my wife shot herself.
Do you see her?
Yes.
Do you see anything in the head?
No.
All right, do you see any, have you tried waking her up? Do you see any part of her body where she got shot that you can possibly apply pressure?
I can't see anything.
Do you see a wound like in the rib wound, like in the chest, upper chest, lower chest?
Oh, the upper chest.
Upper chest? Are you applying pressure to that wound?
I'm thinking there's two guns on the floor, and I'm thinking that maybe she dropped them when she was trying to put them away.
So you think she may have dropped them?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you applying pressure to that wound?
No, I can't reach her like that. I'm wet. I'm sliding on my floor.
You can't apply pressure?
I can't see it. Listen, I got wood floors and I'm sliding. I don't want to risk hurting her or possibly one of the guns going off too.
Okay, but you can't reach down to her and apply pressure on the gunshot wound.
No, I can't see it. No, I can't.
Okay.
After the 911 call, an ambulance is immediately called to the scene as the Flagler County's sheriffs also arrive at the scene and meet Keith sitting at the bench outside of his house. In the meantime, the medical assistants declare Brandy to be dead, as she's already lost too much blood and isn't breathing anymore, which could either be a homicide or a suicide. While this is all happening, Keith is still outside of his own house at the bench. The sheriff approached Keith once again and asked him what had just occurred.
What's going on today?
Nothing.
You guys were talking?
Yeah, man, we got up. I took a shower. She just made her coffee.
Okay.
What time did you guys wake up? Shower. I heard boom, boom, boom. I got out, and she was laying on the floor with guns right next to her. And I was like, no. Okay. So I called you guys immediately.
One thing that strikes the sheriffs is that Keith speaks about going into the shower, but from the look of things, he doesn't look very wet at all. Moreover, the details that he explains don't seem to match up with the crime scene, which is also another contradiction.
Keith, what time did you guys wake up?
I woke up about 9.
9? Okay. You guys arguing or anything?
Nothing like that.
Okay. Has she been depressed or anything?
No.
Has she made any kind of statements that she wanted to hurt herself or anything?
No, man. No. We just got in this house. We're having a good, we tried to start a new life.
Right.
From Keith's words, his wife Brandy wasn't depressed or had any mental issues. He also paints them to be a very happy couple, showing as if they had no problems with each other.
How long were you in the shower, what'd you say?
Maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes, all right. How many shots did you hear?
2.
You heard 2?
And I thought it was a balloon at first. Then I heard the secondary shot. And I ran out there and seen her laying there going, so I called you guys immediately.
Keith once again explains his side of the story as he mentions being in the shower and how he heard 2 gunshots, which caused him to run out of the shower to check on his wife.
I don't know which one got her. They're both 9mm.
Hey, sir, just give me a second. I'm talking to the spouse right now.
They're both 9mm.
When did you guys get married?
Last year, but we were going to renew our wedding in 2 months.
Okay.
Keith tells the sheriff about the guns that were on the floor. Keith is taken away by one of the sheriffs to his car, where he breaks down after realizing that his wife is dead.
What do I do?
I don't know at this point, all right?
Why?
Was she? I mean, does she have any kind of, mental health issues?
Not really. She gets depressed once in a while, but
She
nothing.
wasn't having anything?
No, nothing like mentally.
That's her son?
Yes. I mean, we've been fine and happy.
Was there,
we just got married, dude.
Was there any, you guys have any kind of arguments today?
No, nothing. No, she woke up, she made some coffee, she's gonna make breakfast.
Keith once again explains to the sheriff what occurred, but this time his words seem a bit different. There he mentioned that his wife had no depression, but here he talks about her being depressive quite often. The sheriff takes Keith Johansson to the sheriff's department for further investigation. At the sheriff's department, Keith is placed in the interview room alongside his father.
2 shots. Sure. You just got out of the shower. Sure. Could have washed all that stuff off. Okay, no witnesses.
Hey, you get to put soap on.
I know, well, that's neither here nor there. You were wet.
Yeah.
No witnesses.
Well, I said he heard.
He heard 2. He told me he heard 2 pops.
Yeah, me too. That's what I heard.
He said Because I asked him after I talked to you, or before I talked to you. Sure. Because he was over there, your mom was hugging him and stuff, and I asked him, I said, Rylan, what happened? Mm-hmm. And he goes, I don't know, Grandpa. I was watching TV and I heard something go pop, pop. Mm-hmm. And I know my mom was hurt.
They're trying to tell me that Rylan said that there was a scream. There was no scream that I heard. The only thing that was screaming is me saying, call 911, somebody.
Well, maybe that's what he thought. Well, he's a little kid. They can't go by everything he says. Especially when they're interrogating him without a family member there.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to say this and that when I've been as honest as I can.
Well, that's all you can be, but don't you clam up. You're lawyered up now. Shut your mouth. Don't say another word.
Keith's father informs Keith that Brandy's biological son, Ryland, told the police what happened and what he heard and saw. So, to make sure his son didn't do anything stupid, he orders Keith to seal his mouth closed and wait until the lawyers arrive. After Keith is finished talking to his parents, the detectives arrive and start asking Keith some questions.
How long have you and Brandy been together?
A little over a year.
All right. And how would you...
together or married?
Together.
2.5, 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and you've been married how long?
About a little over a year.
Okay. How would you describe your relationship?
The best one that I've had yet. I mean, she was everything that I wanted her to be. Everybody has their problems here and there, of course.
Keith paints the picture of a very loving wife who loved him and cherished him. He also paints himself to be a caring husband who always puts his wife before everything else.
We seem to be happy. I mean, like we'd have our arguments here and there, stupid little things. But never nothing violent, never nothing too crazy. So I would say our relationship was, okay with...
Was she, when you guys would bicker, was she a yeller? Was she a screamer?
Sometimes.
All right, explain that to me. How would all that happen?
She would either yell about something or scream about something, and then she could go to a different room. She'd calm down. How's that?
So out of the two of you, who would you say was the more aggressive during arguments?
Neither.
Neither?
Not the same. We both knew that, stayed away and cool down.
Keith tries to undermine the severity of his fights with Brandy, which makes the detectives open up about their investigations as they tell him that they have video proof of his aggression towards Brandy, where it's very clearly shown who is the real aggressor.
She must have woke up earlier than me because she had woke me up and was like, wake up, I'm gonna make breakfast, And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a shower. And I took a shower, and in the shower I heard a boom. I thought it was a balloon. Then I heard a secondary boom. And I was like, what the hell? Walked out there, slipped on the floor, because they're all wood floors. Mm-hmm. Looked over and it's her laying there. And I immediately found my phone and called 911. And I got on the phone with the 911 dispatcher and was like, hey, I think she accidentally, because that's what it looked like, And he was kind of yelling at me. He was kind of rude. Mm-hmm. Well, try to apply pressure. And I was like, I can't get to her. I'm soaking wet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then they were like, okay, there's 911 at your door. So I let them in, and they pretty much rushed me out.
After hearing his explanation of the events, the detectives question Keith about the guns that he saw in his room and where exactly they were.
Here's the bathroom. When I walked out of the bathroom, she was laying right here by my nightstand.
Keith recounts what he saw after getting out of the shower. Guns were lying in front of Brandy's body, which made it difficult for him to reach her without touching them. This is exactly why he wasn't able to approach Brandy, because he was worried that he might set them off once again.
One of them had a safety, one didn't.
Okay.
The one that didn't usually was never cocked.
Okay.
Because of that fact. And all my other guns have 2 or 3 rounds in them that are rubber.
Oh, why?
Just for... in case something, you have a misfire or whatever. If someone was to rob us or whatever, I don't want to kill them. I just want to prevent them. That's what they're made for. Less than lethal. It's made for preventative reasons.
Keith's reasoning doesn't really amuse the detectives, as he mentions that the guns had safety. But if they really had safety, then how could Brandy have accidentally shot herself? Another thing that struck them was to why one of the guns had real bullets instead of the rubber ones if Keith's goal wasn't to harm the intruders but just stop them.
Can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
So all of them except for those two have the rubber rounds?
Yes. I ran out of them. I didn't have enough to put in them.
Keith tries to defend himself by telling the detectives that he had only put the lethal rounds in because he didn't have any rubber rounds left.
Somebody accidentally shoots themselves twice.
I don't know if she was shot once or twice. I don't know.
Well, you said it went off twice.
Yes. I don't know. If she dropped the other one, it happens.
Sure.
I've never heard of it being like that unless you drop it.
Heard of it being like what? I'm sorry.
Like a misfire or whatever you call them, unless you drop it.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only way, unless you pull the trigger again. I mean, that's just common sense. That's about it. I mean, that's the only possible ways it could happen.
Keith's reasoning isn't quite wrong, but according to the crime scene at his house, there were 2 guns on the ground which had loaded magazines. Dropping both at the same time would have been too big of a coincidence, if I do say so myself.
We need to have a little bit of a harder conversation.
Okay.
Because as much as I want to believe that the guns fell and went off and shot her, what we have at the scene just doesn't show that. So I want to keep our relationship open and honest, and I want to be able to respect you, and I want to be able to preserve the love that you have for Brandy, and I also want to give Brandy the justice that she deserves, and I think we need to have a harder conversation.
Go for it.
Is there any chance at all that something different happened that you have not told us?
None, because that's what happened. I got no reason to lie to you guys. I mean, you guys are investigators, for God's sake. That's what I seen, and that's what I heard. Ask Rylan. I mean, that's all that happened.
We did ask him.
Okay.
And you know what he told us? Do you want to know?
Yeah, because I wasn't up. So.
He told us that he heard his mom scream.
I heard no screams. At all. None.
Why would he make that up?
Ask him.
Is he a liar?
He has been known to tell fibs, yes.
Does he tell you on the regular that his mom screams in the bedroom?
No.
Has he ever told you that his mom screams and it was a lie?
No, not screaming, but he lies about a bunch of other different things. You can ask his real father, and he'll tell you that too.
Imagine accusing a 6-year-old of lying. Up until this point, the detectives are sure that Keith is involved in the death of Brandy in one form or another, so they take him as a captive and inform him that he will be detained until the rest of the investigation is complete. While the investigation on Keith's side was going on, Officer Costello was also busy interviewing close friends of Brandy Salenza. One of those close friends was Brianna Schoenleber.
He was always bringing around bad people. I didn't like what he had going on in the house with my godson. I didn't like it, and I think that's why she started hiding a lot of stuff from me.
Did she share that with you? Did you speak with her often, or?
I used to talk to her every day, but she started to not let her talk to me on the phone alone. So then we couldn't really talk about it recently. But she did share that with my friend Kim.
After hearing about Kimberly from Brianna, Costello approached Kimberly and asked her for an interview as well.
Like, they get into an argument over something. Like, she always thought he was cheating.
Okay.
So she would confront him, and then he'd say she's just crazy and all this. So.
Okay. Did she suspect that he was cheating with anybody in particular, or?
Just that she thought she heard girls on the phone with him. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Kimberly told Costello that Brandy often had arguments with Keith, as she accused him of cheating multiple times.
Were you familiar with any of the guns that they might have had, or?
Yeah, when we were at their house that night on March 16th, he was showing us the guns, and he was Yeah, he was showing them off, and he was pointing them around, and then he put them in the safe cabinet.
After interviewing a few other close family members and relatives of Brandy and Keith, the detectives only had one person left, and that was Keith's ex-wife, Stacy.
I haven't seen or heard from him in a while, really, since we went to court for a divorce.
Okay, so the reason that I wanted to talk to you is I wanted to get some background information on how he was in your marriage.
Horrible. We were married for over a year, but that's just because it took so long to get divorced. But in all honesty, we were only really together for 6 or 7 months before I was like, okay, dude, you gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Very creepy, severe sexual issues. I'll say that. I had a lot of problems with that with him. He had a drug problem with meth, very, very bad temper. I'm a very jealous person. Where I would leave for work and like instantly, from the time I left work until the time I got home, just being berated about you're cheating, you're this, you're that, you're a whore, just very derogatory and disrespectful towards me. Not the person that I thought he was until we got married, and he turned into this other person.
Can you recall any specific events where he was physically abusive with you?
Not necessarily physically abusive, per se. Like there wasn't, he didn't like attack me in a physical manner or anything like that. It was more of a sexual abuse and emotional abuse. Okay. A lot of that.
Do you mind explaining that? Would you be able to do that?
I would come home from work and, go to sleep, and I would wake up with him touching me, and it made me very uncomfortable. To me, I would call it like a marital molestation, almost. Mm-hmm. And I confronted him about it. I told him, numerous times, when I was younger, I had gone through some issues like that. Mm-hmm. And, it was mostly those kinds of things. Just a very creepy person, and he attributed it to having an issue with meth, which I had no idea that was even an issue until he said something. He would cheat on me. As a matter of fact, Ashley got pregnant while we were still married. She even showed up at my house at one point. He would be emailing ads on Craigslist for sexual favors and things like that. Just a really totally not the person that I thought it was by any means at all. But not so much ever really physical in that sense, like hitting or pushing or punching. I think there might have been one incident where we kind of got into it, and I had left the house and went to my friends in DeLand and just kind of stayed there for a few hours until things calmed down. But that was really about it. Just being called every name in the book, and he would call my work, harass the people at work, asking if I'm there, am I talking to someone, or just, kind of things like that.
From what the detectives had investigated so far, they were starting to realize how terrible Keith's personality was. They became even more sure of it after getting the footage from Keith's bedroom.
So much that you've been threatening to kill yourself. Then you're gonna spend the rest of your days in an institution. I can throw you there tomorrow. You push a person to either beat or kill you because you're... I could call in my homies and make sure you both die.
Why?
Because I gave up everything on a chance. Somebody lied. He cheats, does this and that. Gave you too many chances, man. Too many. Show a cop these videos. I don't give a... I'd rather be in prison just to use it. You know what? I'm gonna leave it here to haunt you. Maybe one day you will.
It was clear that Keith wanted to push Brandy into doing the deed herself, but when she was unable to do it, he decided to do it himself. On the morning of April 7th of 2018, Brandy was seen walking towards the master bedroom just a few moments before the 911 call. Soon after her, Keith was also walking into the room, and once he comes out, he immediately calls 911 and starts telling them about what had happened. His wife wasn't even on his mind, as his first priority was to hide his stash of weed in fear that it might get caught by the sheriff once they were there. The jury quickly saw through his deception and found him guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing him to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole.
We, the jury, find the defendant Keith John Johansson as follows to count 1 of the indictment. Guilty as charged as the crime of first-degree murder.
Before we conclude this video, let us pray for the departed soul of Brandy Salenza. Can you imagine tucking your kid into bed, saying goodnight and heading off to sleep? However, the next morning you walk into their room and they're gone? Vanished? That's the nightmare that Bailey's lived through, and in total panic they grabbed the phone and called 911.
Is this the police?
Yes, it is.
I need somebody to come to my home right now. I have a missing child.
Okay, take a big breath for me, okay? What is your address? Okay, alright, how long has your child been missing?
I don't know. I just went upstairs because we were making pancakes.
While the cops were still piecing things together, the mom dropped a bombshell that flipped the whole case into one of the town's creepiest mysteries.
Okay, was she supposed to be sleeping in her room?
Yeah. The last time somebody saw her was at midnight.
It was a quiet Mother's Day morning in May when the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office got hit with a gut-wrenching case. Tristan Bailey, a bubbly 13-year-old 7th grader and cheerleader at Patriot Oaks Academy, was reported missing by her family at 10 a.m. Her sister went to wake her for a Mother's Day breakfast, but her bed was empty. For a kid the whole family saw go to bed the night before, things got even scarier when her sister reported spotting her sneaking out at midnight. Right away, a massive search kicked off, with the sheriff's office and community volunteers combing the area. But it wasn't until 6 p.m. that her parents' worst nightmare came true.
Hello?
Hi, this is Operator Hartz of the Sheriff's Office. Your phone called 911. Is everything okay?
No, I found the missing girl.
And she's not moving, correct?
No, there's bugs flying all over. I don't think she's alive.
A jogger out near a retention pond off of Saddlestone Drive, just half a mile from Fuchi's house, stumbled upon Tristan's body in a wooded spot. The cops jumped into action, digging into what caused her death. It didn't take long for the autopsy to reveal the horrifying truth. She had been stabbed 114 times, with 49 defensive wounds on her hands, arms, and head, showing she fought hard for her life. They also found a buck knife with a broken tip near the scene, pointing to an agonizing death. The sheer brutality stunned the community, and the police wasted no time launching a full-on investigation to trace Tristan's last steps and hunt down her killer. With no clear suspects, the cops started knocking on doors in Durbin Crossing, a close-knit suburb south of Jacksonville, and they stopped by the house of Tristan's friend, Dolphus Trey Absher III, thinking she might have crashed there after her sister caught her sneaking out. However, Trey, at the time of the police visit, said he hadn't seen her, and so they moved on, going to pull every scrap of surveillance footage to piece together a timeline. And 2 hours later, the officers received a tip about a residential security camera that lit the spark for the investigation and set the stage for catching Tristan's killer. The video, caught at 1:45 a.m., showed two figures believed to be Tristan Bailey and one Aiden Fucci, a 14-year-old friend and classmate of both Tristan and Absher at Patriot Oaks Academy, walking east toward the wooded area by the retention pond, where her body was later found with no signs of a fight, just them strolling along. However, after an hour and 45 minutes later, at 3:35 a.m., the same camera recorded Fucci alone, running in the opposite direction, carrying his white Nike shoes in his hand. That footage instantly put Fucci in the spotlight as a person of interest, but right as the police were gearing up to track him down, they got a bombshell update. Absher suddenly admitted Tristan was at his place that night with him, and the very same Fucci caught on the surveillance camera. This blew the case wide open. Was Absher in on it, or did he lie to cover up for his buddy, and only spill now because the case was so serious? To get answers, the police requested for his testimony.
So in reference to case number SJSO 21OFF004305. Person I'll be interviewing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's Dolphus, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you say your full name for the record, please?
Dolphus Ray Absher III.
Okay, but you go by Trey, correct?
Yes, sir.
Kind of before we begin, I just want to confirm that you've made this appointment to come in here and speak to us voluntarily, correct?
Yes, sir.
And no one's forced you, threatened you, or coerced you to come in here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
After all formalities have been exchanged and protocol observed, the police then started on the process by asking him about Aiden, Tristan, and the whole deal, and it was at that point that Absher revealed a disturbing piece of information.
So I'm just looking for background information, how long you've known Aiden, how long you've known Tristan, what, your relationship is like with each of them individually, as a group, if you hang out as a group, and kind of what led up to the events of this past weekend.
So, me and Aiden are, like, I have a group of friends, which is me, Aiden, and his girlfriend, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all pretty close. We all hang out as much as we can, and they're together every day, and if I'm not there. Tristan, I would hang out with her more alone, or with, like, if I had somebody staying the night, she'd come over and it'd be the three of us. Because Aiden, I have hung out with Aiden and Tristan before at my house 2 to 3 times already, and everything was perfectly fine. Like, nothing ever seemed peculiar. He's never said he was going to do anything, or nothing ever came up. And now, like, that's why I got this, like, was a curveball to me, because, I mean, Aiden has said, like, some messed up stuff to me, like, to Sophie, saying he was going to do things, but you don't really take any of that stuff serious as coming from a teenager.
Mm.
He has said he said, like, his knife, he wanted to, like, slit somebody's throat, and, like, he said it'd be satisfying. He's talked about killing people. He's talked about fighting people. I've seen him practice stabbing motions with his knife.
Turns out, Aiden wasn't just wrestling with some dark urge to kill. He'd been plotting to act on it that very month that Tristan died.
So, I've talked to Sophie, like, I called her, I just wanted to check on her to see how she was doing, because they were in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that he said he was gonna kill somebody within the month. And he said he was gonna, like, he would kill her. He's talked about stabbing people, killing people, and I was just like, he said he was gonna kill somebody this month, and this happens.
After listening to Aiden's horrific plans, the police then decided to ask Absher about the night of Tristan's death, to ascertain if Aiden carried out his plans.
Let's go to Saturday night. What all happened Saturday night?
Saturday night, I currently got suspended from school, so I wasn't able to go anywhere. And Aiden came over around 8 after he got done hanging out with Sophie. He came around 8 o'clock, 8:20ish. And he was there for a couple hours. And then me and him decided we were going to smoke some, like, weed. So we went outside, and the blanket that y'all took,
mm-hmm.
Me and him were sitting on. So me and him were outside, and then I thought about Tristan, because I always invite her if I have people over.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, if it's Caleb or if it's Aiden or if it's Sophie or all of them, I always invite her over. So I called her. I was like, Aiden, do you want Tristan to come over? And he was just like, I don't care, sure. So I called her. I invited her over.
After hanging out for a bit, Absher got bored and told Tristan and Aiden to head home before he crashed for the night. They left, but that was the last time anyone saw Tristan alive with Aiden by her side. However, when the cops initially showed up at Absher's place that morning looking for Tristan, he panicked and called Aiden to ask about her. What Aiden said back made it clear that something unthinkable had gone down.
So walk me through what happens after the police come up to your house and ask you about Tristan. What happens after that?
I tried to get in contact with her immediately. I FaceTimed her like 10 times, texted her after all that, and then I called Aiden and I was just like, do you know what happened last night? He just said he dropped her off at the front of her neighborhood, and he went home.
Now, Tristan's body was found just 0.003 miles from Aiden's house, so his story about dropping her off at her neighborhood was a lie, and that kind of deception screamed that he knew something about her death. And when the cops swung by Aiden's place after talking to Absher, he was ready with a polished version of his story, way different from what he had told his friend.
So, are you willing to kind of give me a statement about what's going on with her?
Yeah, so we're at Trey's house, and then I stayed there until probably like 1:50 a.m. And then I was really late to be home, so I just had to leave, or else my mom would like seriously just kill me.
Okay.
So we started walking home, and then next to like where that brick wall starts up there,
okay,
is where like she touched, and I like pushed her off me real hard, and then I just kind of like I walked away out of anger.
Aiden's flip-flopping stories about what had happened to Tristan, especially since he was the last one seen with her alive, screamed that he was hiding something. It was more than enough to make the cops suspicious, but to throw them off, he pulled a move to make himself look less guilty.
We're having fun in a f***ing cop car. Yep. Tristan. What's up, guys? Yep. Tristan, if you f***ing walk out the damn...
When you see
Not only did Aiden try to appear calm, he even posted a Snapchat video pretending to search for Tristan, grinning like nothing was wrong while his best friend was missing. But those smiles are about to vanish as the cops bring him in for questioning. Around midnight on May 10th, Aiden was brought to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office for a formal interview, with his parents, Crystal Smith and Jason Fucci, by his side. But before the questioning kicked off, his parents, fearing the worst, decided to question him first.
You know they found this girl, right?
Where?
In our neighborhood. Down our main street.
Is she good?
No, she's dead. That's why this is very important. It's all on you right now.
That is my problem.
Not only did Aiden try to play dumb, but his total lack of emotion after hearing his friend, someone that he was with and that she died, had been killed, said it all. His parents also noticed that and leaned hard on him to spill what went down that night.
Did you tell him anything different in the cop car that we don't know about? No. Do you know if this girl got picked up?
I told him about her dealer.
You think she got picked up by him?
I mean, probably. She said she wasn't coming home. She said she's gonna find somebody to stay at
After
their
you left her
house.
there walking? Like, you think she got picked up after that? She just kept walking?
Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Do you know if she turned the other direction or if she was just still walking behind you?
Did y'all have sex?
Did she really grab you and you just really pushed her, or was that?
No, she did.
Okay.
You don't know what happened to her after you pushed her?
Did she say ow or get mad?
And she said Aiden. She was like, Aiden? I think I pushed her, but I just told her to F off. And I just walked off.
Do you know what direction she walked in?
Probably the other way, because she wasn't next to me anymore.
You didn't look back or nothing?
You better find your story and stay to it.
I don't like all that switching back and forth stuff.
Think about every question he's going to ask you. Before you answer it, you think about the answer again.
Now, Aiden fed his parents the same story he gave the cops, claiming Tristan grabbed his pushed her away to stay loyal to his girlfriend, causing her to fall and hit her head. He said he walked off, not knowing if she got up, and even suggested that she might have been picked up by a drug dealer or wandered to an unknown drug spot. Somehow his parents bought it and told him to stick to the story as they waited for the police. But while they thought they had a solid tale to keep Aiden out of jail, they didn't know the cops had paused the interrogation to get a search warrant. A search that was already underway at their house, one that was about to uncover some dark secrets. The cops started searching Aiden's house just 0.3 miles from where Tristan's body was found in Durbin's Crossing at 12:44 a.m. on May 10th, not long after her body turned up. And what they found is about to blow your mind. Right off the bat, they found a pair of wet white Nike shoes with bloodstains in Aiden's bedroom, the same shoes that he was carrying in the 3:30 a.m. surveillance footage, and forensic tests later confirmed the presence of blood. Next up, they found a bloody t-shirt and wet blue jeans stuffed in a laundry basket. The jeans tested positive for blood, and they also pulled out a white piece of paper with handwriting, possibly bloodstained, along with a buck-burned knife sheath that matched the folding buck knife at the crime scene, tying the weapons straight to the murder. And as the search progressed, they uncovered 8 pocket knives with a homemade shank, backing up Absher's claim about Aiden's knife obsession. Blood and dirt clogged the drain in the bathroom sink next to his home, hinting that he tried to scrub away the evidence after getting home. And then there were some eerie, demonic-looking drawings on a piece of paper. At this point, it was crystal clear that the cops had their guy. The bloody shoes and clothes tied Aiden straight to the crime scene, especially since the CCTV caught him carrying those shoes, probably to avoid leaving bloody footprints. The knife sheath linked to the murder weapon, and the sink evidence pointed to a sloppy cover-up. It was more than enough for the police to slap cuffs on him, and by 3:30 a.m. on May 10th, Aiden was arrested for second-degree murder, charged as an adult, and hauled off to Duval County Jail, held without bond since St. Johns County didn't have a juvenile facility. However, on May 27, 2021, the charge got bumped to first-degree murder after the state attorney pointed to cold-blooded premeditation, backed by the knife tip found in Tristan's skull, and Aiden's earlier statements to friends about planning a killing. But even with all that damning evidence stacked against him, Aiden pleaded not guilty, setting the stage for a high-profile trial. When Aiden pleaded not guilty back in May, it stunned everyone, given the mountain of evidence, footage, and testimonies all pointing straight at him. But things became clearer on September 1st, 2021, at his first pre-trial, where he pulled a stunt that could have won him an Oscar.
What's going on? I don't want to let you demons. I don't want to let you demons take my soul. You demons want to take my soul away. I don't let you demons steal my soul. I don't know what's going on. What? I see you first. What's going on? What you got going on? Why am I here? I just want to talk to my mom and dad. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Aiden's claim of being possessed by demons was a slick, calculated team effort to paint him as mentally unstable, as it set the stage for an insanity plea and pushed for a competency evaluation, stalling the trial and steering attention away from his guilt. By saying demons were stealing his soul, he tried to sell a psychotic break or a delusional state during the murder, claiming he couldn't tell right from wrong, and those demonic sketches in his notebook also fed into the narrative of a disturbed mind. However, Aiden didn't realize that an insanity defense in Florida is a tough sell. He would need solid proof of a diagnosed mental disorder and expert testimony showing that he was out of his mind during the crime. And unfortunately for Aiden, he has no mental health record at all, and his calculated moves of luring Tristan, scrubbing evidence, and posting those slick Snapchat videos show he knew exactly what he was doing. The judge wasn't buying his little drama either, and he set the next hearing up for February 2nd, 2022. The trial kicked off with prosecutors Jennifer Lynn Dunton and Kristen DePaula ready to nail Aiden Fucci for the brutal murder of his friend, the vibrant cheerleader Tristan Bailey. But right before things got rolling, Aiden pulled a move that left all of Florida stunned.
Okay. And Mr. Fucci just wanted to make a short statement.
I just want to say I plead not guilty. And that I'm sorry for the Bailey family and my family.
Okay. I'm sure that there'll be an opportunity, obviously, at sentencing hearing to speak again at that time. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All of a sudden, after 2 years of saying he was not guilty, Aiden switches up and pleads guilty. It's an obvious move by his lawyer to get a lighter sentence, with all the evidence stacked against him, and he even tries to apologize to the Baileys, but it doesn't land well, especially with Tristan's dad, who isn't buying it.
February 6th, you finally admitted to your guilt in murdering my daughter, Tristan, after you clearly sat in this room and agreed to all of the questions and statements that were read by the judge and admitted that you knew what you were pleading to. At the end of that, you turned around, or you didn't even turn around, you made an apology. I want to be clear, saying that your insincere apology is not accepted. In no part did I sense any glimmer of any true remorse felt in your apology. Without question, I know that statement was for some self-serving purpose that you have. During all of the proceedings in which we've been present, including these past couple days, at no point in time have I seen anything from you that is any type of remorse.
Not only did Tristan's father not accept his apology, but his open plea came with no deal to soften the sentence, as the state attorney rejected the defense's offers. So, Aiden faced 40 years to life in prison, as his age ruled out the death penalty. At this point, all of Aiden's plans and his legal team's efforts seemed to fall apart, leaving him at the judge's mercy. And while the court awaited the final decision, Judge Smith set a status hearing for February and sentencing for March to review any mitigating factors. With some time before the hearing, Aiden's lawyer saw a chance to make one last push and managed to come up with something. On March 8th, 2023, at the pre-hearing, Aiden's lawyer requested to dive into his mental health, and he brought in testimony from juvenile probation officer Dwayne Barton after Aiden had told Barton that he was hearing voices in jail. A last-ditch attempt to play up the mental health issues and maybe somehow score a lighter sentence. However, the judge, Judge Smith, ruled that Barton could not testify about what he observed, and not Aiden's claims of hearing voices, unless a mental health expert allowed such questions, which none did. And with that, the court had to wait until March 21st for the final sentencing. The sentencing, which stretched over 3 days, began with the prosecutor laying out a mountain of evidence and witnesses against Aiden, from the officers who arrested him to his friends and classmates testifying about his repeated talk about wanting to kill. Plus the CCTV footage, it was obvious that Aiden's fate had been sealed. But the final blow came when another inmate testified that Aiden bragged about killing Tristan while in jail. That testimony changed everything, and on March 23, 2023, Aiden Fucci found out what was coming. And with that, Aiden was moved to a new correctional facility, marking his transition to long-term incarceration. And even though Tristan got the justice she deserved at the end, it didn't change the fact that a light had been extinguished and the community changed forever. In the quiet suburban streets of Durbin Crossing, St. Johns County, Florida, May 9th, 2021 marked a wound that would never fully heal. Tristan Bailey, a 13-year-old cheerleader whose infectious smile and boundless spirit lit up every room, was taken from her family and the community in an act of unimaginable cruelty. Stabbed 114 times by her 14-year-old classmate Aiden Fucci, her life was extinguished in a wooded area just steps from home, leaving behind a void filled with grief, questions, and a relentless pursuit of justice. The Aiden Fucci case is not just a story of a crime, but a haunting reminder of the fragility of innocence and the darkness that can lurk in unexpected places. Fucci, who once walked the same school halls as Tristan, revealed a chilling capacity for violence, driven not by motive but a desire to kill. From his taunting Snapchat posts to his bizarre claims of demons in a Zoom hearing, Fucci's actions painted a portrait of a teenager unmoored from remorse, whose choices shattered countless lives. The evidence, CCTV footage, bloody clothes, a knife sheath, and his own words to friends about killing fantasies left no doubt of his guilt, leading to a guilty plea on February 6, 2023, and a life sentence on March 24, 2023. Yet, amidst the horror, the Bailey family emerged as a beacon of strength. Their resolve to honor Tristan's memory through vigils and a GoFundMe raising over $63,000 for her foundation transformed their pain into a legacy of love. The St. Johns County community railed around them, lighting candles and wearing aqua ribbons in Tristan's name. The tireless work of St. Johns County Sheriff's Department and the prosecutors ensured that Fucci would face the consequences of his actions, delivering a measure of justice in a case that shook the country to its core. As Aiden Fucci begins his life sentence, confined to a cell where his demons, real or imagined, may haunt him, Tristan Bailey's light continues to shine. Her story challenges us to cherish the fleeting moments of joy, to protect the vulnerable, and to hold fast to the bonds of community in the face of unspeakable loss. In Durbin Crossing, where children once played without fear, Tristan's memory endures as a call to kindness, a reminder that even in the darkest times, love and justice can prevail. Let us remember Tristan not for the tragedy that took her, but for the life that she lived, a life that, though brief, touched hearts and inspired a community to rise above despair.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's going on?
Okay, my name is Lindsay. I babysit kids.
Yes.
And we just dropped her off, and all of a sudden she just passed out.
Who's passed out?
The little girl, she's 3. She felt pretty bad yesterday, and she's been fine. And then all of a sudden we dropped her off this morning, and she walked in and she kind of passed out. She went limp.
Okay.
I don't know.
Are you with her now?
Yes, and so is her dad. I called her. Yes, hurry, she's bad. There's something wrong.
Okay. Is she awake right now?
Yeah.
No, stay on the line with me. I have to ask you a few questions while my partner gets the medics dispatched. Okay, is she breathing?
Yes, in and out.
Okay.
Yes, in and out. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, is her breathing completely normal?
Oh, yes, almost gone. Hurry, please.
Okay, lay down on her back.
Knocked out.
Lay her down on her back and let her head tilt back.
Okay, so I'm so sorry that was happening.
Okay. Is she still unconscious, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No, she's unconscious. Her eyes are open and she's like gasping for air.
Imagine getting a phone call just minutes after dropping off your child saying something is wrong. Now imagine rushing back and finding your daughter unresponsive on the floor of a home that you thought was safe. This is the nightmare that Jason Weshy walked into. His vibrant, playful 3-year-old daughter, Hannah, lay motionless on the floor of her babysitter's home. The babysitter, Lindsay Parton, seemed frozen until Jason made her call 911. How did it all come to this? Let's rewind. March 8th, 2018. Just another weekday. Jason, a single father fighting through life, woke early to prep Hannah for her babysitter's house just down the same street. So on this day, like every other day, he went over, dropped his daughter off with his car, said their goodbyes with the usual double kisses, and went by his way. But minutes later, Jason's phone rang. It was Lindsay. She said something was wrong with Hannah, and he raced back. He found his daughter on the kitchen floor lying unresponsive. He then ordered Lindsay to call 911. Upon the arrival of the police, little Hannah was hurriedly put into the back of the ambulance and taken to Fort Hamilton Hospital. However, the hospital staff realized her condition was far too serious, so they immediately arranged for her to be transferred to a more specialized hospital, Cincinnati Children's Hospital. The situation came as a shock to Jason, the girl's father, Lindsay, the police who responded to the call, and all those who heard what had happened. How can a bright, energetic, healthy little girl limp down unconscious just after arriving at her babysitter's? What could have gone wrong between when her father got her ready and he dropped her off? It wasn't until the police began their investigations that some chilling truths were discovered.
We've talked to the doctors down at UC. Hannah's not doing good. Okay? Whatever happened to her happened this morning.
Oh my God.
It's not from the fall from yesterday. She has a severe brain bleed.
Oh my God.
So what we need is the truth from you.
From what the doctors said, little Hannah had suffered severe brain damage as a result of forced trauma that morning, at around the time she arrived at Lindsay's garage. Lindsay initially claimed Hannah fell the day before. She even recounted how Hannah had asked for a donut that morning as she entered the garage, and how she had talked to her father before he left, painting an image of a normal day. When asked about his daughter's condition, Jason had this to say.
And then her eyes were like half open, and she was non-responsive, like she was like staring at that book, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to talk to her, I'm like, Hannah, talk to Daddy. It's like I wasn't even there. I told her to neck up to open her airway because she was having trouble breathing. And she'd like gasp, like, and then let it out. And she wouldn't breathe for like a split second. And I said, Hannah, shake her. She, and then she stopped. And then Lindsay, she said, what should I do? Should I call 911? Yeah, call 911.
So Lindsay calls 911?
And Lindsay called 911 off her phone. And Lindsay was on the phone with 911 until they got there.
Given the situation of things, the police had to bring everyone involved in for questioning. But first, they had to know the players in this and if any of them had reasonable cause to harm the little girl, possibly to get to her father. The main suspect in this crime is obviously Lindsay, the babysitter. At the time, the 35-year-old ran a little babysitting shop in her home in Butler County. Lindsay, a mother of two, was a trusted caregiver who earned her associate's degree in preschool education and was deeply interested in child development. She lived at 4050 Shank Road with her longtime partner Timothy J. Smith, also known as TJ. They were high school mates who later met through mutual acquaintances and quickly became a couple, raising their two girls. Their relationship, while outwardly stable, had its own share of complexities. Despite juggling part-time jobs as a bookkeeper for her father's small business and dabbling in Mary Kay sales to help make ends meet in the past, she returned to her passion once her partner was making enough to support the family. Neighbors saw her as trustworthy and a caring figure, often leaving their little ones in her care without batting an eye. However, it was her partner TJ who raised more concerns among them due to his strong personality, along with secrets that authorities would later uncover. Jason isn't without his own demons as well. He was jobless, homeless, and worse still, had his wife locked up for drug-related issues, forcing him to raise his little girl all by himself while trying to make ends meet. In fact, little Hannah was addicted to substances after the first weeks of her birth, and it took the effort and support of the NICU staff to wean her off the substances. Jason would often take Hannah to his brother's house to spend the night while he slept in the car. He worked at various construction sites before luck shone on him, and he found a job as a mechanic at TJ's shop. It didn't take long for TJ to suggest having Lindsay babysit Hannah. This arrangement went on for a while, until one day when the house next door to TJ's went up for sale. Jason saw this as a golden opportunity to have his home closer to his daughter's babysitter. He got the house, and he thought that he was giving Hannah a safer life. Another person who was around on the day that Hannah was injured was TJ. TJ ran construction and moving businesses, so he was always busy and didn't always stick around to the house longer than he should. But he was reportedly on the property the morning that Hannah was injured and rushed to the hospital. While Lindsay maintained that her partner would never hit her or the kids, what was later discovered about TJ during the interrogations proved that Lindsay might have been hiding something, probably to protect him.
I know, like, you were saying that you and him have a good relationship. It's, like, really, really good a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
The one thing that I need you to understand completely, okay, is if you're in an abusive relationship, there's always help for you, okay? And you may not feel like there's anywhere you can go or anybody that you can talk to that would even listen to you. I don't know if threats have ever been made to you or if he's ever told you, you know what, if you say anything, you know, I'll make sure you pay or this and that. If you're in fear for your safety.
I'm not. I'm honestly not. I would definitely tell you that if I... No. TJ and I have a really good relationship. It's... If I'm ever hurt by him, it's his mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Saying hurtful things. But...
So he's never physically put his hands on you?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
From her conversations with the detective, Lindsay claims that her relationship can sometimes be rocky. She maintains that he isn't the type to blackmail her into silence, though. With the police no closer to discovering the truth about what happened to Hannah that day, the interrogation of potential suspects began. First, the detectives interrogated Lindsay to give her an account of what had happened that morning.
So, take us back to this morning when when Hannah gets your house.
Okay, well, he walked in the door like normal.
Through the front door, back door?
Where you guys came in. And sat her down.
Was he carrying her?
He carries her in, has her blanket over her, because it's cold, obviously, right now. And sat her down.
In the garage or in
Yeah, just, you know, she's standing there, and, you know, they kiss goodbye, whatever. He's not back to get you, and she said, okay, bye. And I looked at her, I said, are you tired this morning, or you want to stay up? She said, I want to stay up. I said, okay. So we walked in. She was in front of me. I opened the door. She was in front of me. That red chair that sits right there. I phoned down, started to take off my robe. She looked at me. Buddy, can we do couch and donut? Because we always do, like the powdered donuts in the morning before we have breakfast. It's hit or miss if she decides to go back to bed or wants the couch. Sometimes she's not. So I said, of course, and she went to take off her jacket and just fell forward.
From her testimony, she did nothing to harm the child, but she simply fell forward, which could have been the cause of the head injury. But when the detectives inform her that the fall from that height couldn't have led to brain damage, they press her on other things. Perhaps she could slip up and say something that might help with the case.
Anyone that comes in and helps you out, or does TJ come home and help out ever?
Not really. I mean, he tries here and there. I mean, he helps when he gets home, like with our kids.
Like most guys usually just
Well, I
get
take that back.
frustrated.
Tuesday, he did come up. He was at the barn, and it was nice, and he came up about 4 o'clock and played out. We all played outside.
Okay.
So he was up there. I mean, he tries.
Does he ever discipline the kids?
Not really.
Has he ever?
No. I mean, if they're not listening to me, you better listen to your mom. But no, he's pretty busy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Have you ever seen him swat them or spank them or anything?
I'm wanting to get their attention. Like, hey, listen to your mom. But nothing, no. I'm not a spanker.
How do you discipline there?
The police tried to find out if TJ helped, especially when it came to disciplining the children. He was around the house at that time, and Lindsay might have been trying to cover for him, possibly hitting Hannah. But then she lets out a secret that might prove that TJ isn't as innocent as she's trying to make him out to be.
Anyone that comes in and helps you out, or does TJ come home and help out ever?
Not really. I mean, he tries here and there. I mean, he helps when he gets home, like with our kids.
Like most guys usually just
Well, I
get
take that back.
frustrated.
Tuesday, he did come up. He was at the barn, and it was nice, and he came up about 4 o'clock and played out. We all played outside.
Okay.
So he was up there. I mean, he tries.
Does he ever discipline the kids?
Not really.
Has he ever?
No. I mean, if they're not listening to me, you better listen to your mom. But no, he's pretty busy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Have you ever seen him swat them or spank them or anything?
I'm wanting to get their attention. Like, hey, listen to your mom. But nothing, no. I'm not a spanker.
How do you discipline there?
So, what's your relationship like with him?
Good. Good for the most part. I mean, we have kids, so, you know, we bicker about them.
Who don't?
Yeah. We bicker about money, but for the most part, we have a really good relationship. We have a lot in common. We went to high school together. We've known each other for a really long time. Our families know each other from the trucking, construction business.
Okay.
I wish he wouldn't drink. But other than that,
Do you drink a lot?
not a lot. He's a lot better than he was 5 years ago. Maybe.
Sure.
I had to rein him in a little bit, but.
I know, like you were saying, that you and him have a good relationship. It's like really, really good a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
The one thing that I need you to understand completely, okay, is if you're in an abusive relationship, there's always help for you, okay? And you may not feel like there's anywhere you can go or anybody that you can talk to that would even listen to you. I don't know if threats have ever been made to you, or if he's ever told you, you know what, if you say anything, you know, I'll make sure you pay, or this and that.
Yeah,
if you're
no.
in fear for your safety.
I'm not. I'm
Okay.
honestly not. I would definitely tell you that if I. No, TJ and I have a really good relationship. It's, if I'm ever hurt by him, it's his mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like saying hurtful things. But.
So he's never physically put his hands on you?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
For a split second, she talks about his drinking problem, but she quickly downplays it, stating that it isn't as bad as it used to be. Clearly, someone with a drinking problem and anger issues could hit a kid. So the detectives had good cause to bring him in as well, to find out what he knew about what had happened that morning. But when they interviewed him, the officer's attention was drawn to another important clue to what could have happened that morning.
Dude, I ain't got a clue. I wasn't there. Well, I wasn't there when it took place. I'm at the RDP office, looked up ambulance lights. How well do you know Jason? Not real good at all. He started, I met him through an operator buddy of mine that come to work here. We've been looking for people, decent people, trying to get better people. Right. He said, I got a good guy that's decent mechanic, whatnot. So, time for me much to cool your heart. That's probably been a year ago. Is that pretty reliable? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any problems with him as far as arguments or not doing what you're supposed to, get along with people? Or he did 2 days ago about get fired. He's on a job in Trevor. People are so stupid. That steep street, we got a pipe trailer 40 foot long. He went down and unhooked that trailer on the street like that, right above Route 8, like it's going into a highway if something happens. So he blocked it on the street like that, like an idiot, so he's gonna fire him right there. Right. So we've been reprimanding, talking to him.
According to TJ, Jason had been under significant stress after almost jeopardizing his new job, a fact that Lindsay had also mentioned.
I think there's been some things going on at the job. I think he got into big trouble the other day.
For what?
A trailer got hit and it could have killed somebody. He parked it on a hill. I think there's some stuff going on, like with him worried about losing his job or his house or whatever.
Yeah. So you think he's got some aggression inside that he's building up?
Could Jason, a man who's fought against the odds to keep his little girl safe, possibly hit his daughter in an outburst of rage? With the couple saying the same thing about Jason, his work trouble and his temperament, it was time for the detectives to hear his side of the story. Jason's interviews were similar to Lindsay's in many ways. He denied ever harming his daughter, but admitted he felt exhausted and under pressure. Additionally, he mentioned that he had noticed bruises on her before.
Has Hannah ever told you anything about Lindsay?
I mean, there's times that she says she doesn't want to go, or she doesn't want me to leave her. She never wants me to leave her. I don't care where it's. I don't care if it's with my daughter or Lindsay or Sandy. That little girl has been with me since the day she's been born. So I'm pretty much all she knows other than her sister. So she never wants me to leave her.
But she never says she spanks me or she's rough with me.
There was one time that Vivian, Lindsay's daughter, and Hannah, they were playing on a crib, and she fell and hit her chin. And she didn't want to tell me that she was climbing on the crib because she wasn't supposed to. Lindsay told me. And I asked her, I said, what happened? She said, Lindsay hit me. And I'm like, Hannah, what happened? She said, I was playing on the crib.
Okay.
So
I mean, you can normally get to the truth with her.
Right away.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the only time she's ever said that.
Okay.
She just didn't want to get in trouble because she was just told the day before not to climb on the crib.
Okay.
And then her and Lindsay's oldest one was climbing on the crib. So Lindsay took it down. They took the crib down.
Did Hannah lie because she didn't want to get in any more trouble with her dad, or did her babysitter really hit her? But that was not the only time Jason noticed a bruise on his daughter's head.
You started making a comment before that she said that she told you about the past 3 weeks that her head is hurt?
Yeah, she'd point to her head. She's like, Daddy, my head hurts. And I thought maybe she was playing hard or whatever, had a headache. But then I thought it was for attention because she was like, Daddy, my head hurts. Will you kiss it? And I kissed it. And then she's like, that's better, thanks. And she went and played.
How often would she tell you that?
She's probably told me that 3 times. And I even asked the neurosurgeon. I told him, I said, this is what she told me. I said, is this something that could have been happening or going on within the last few weeks? You know what I mean? And he said, no. He said that the trauma that she had to her head happened within the last few hours. I know it didn't happen in my house because we fell asleep on the couch. She woke up on the couch. And then Lindsay said she fell.
From Jason's testimony, the investigator knew that it was time to up the ante. So they turned to the doctor's report, and the details of her injuries were truly horrifying. Hannah's body was full of several bruises and scratches, a black eye, several recent bruises across her chest, and a bruise on the left side of her head, a scrape on her chin and neck, a severe swollen bruise on the back of her head, and, more concerningly, there was a swelling in her brain. Granted, the little girl was reportedly a little mischievous, but there have not been many inconsistencies in the story about what had happened that morning, the nature of her injuries, and the story about how she got them. So the very next day, they picked up Lindsay for questioning, only this time, they had enough evidence to get her to say the things she probably wasn't willing to say initially. It was also reported that Lindsay had refused to take a polygraph test to prove her innocence. While it's well within her rights to refuse to take the test without the advice of her attorney, one would think that she would jump at the offer to clear her name. With the investigators now having more evidence, they questioned her one more time, and this brought out a side of Lindsay she hadn't shown in any of her prior interrogations.
We're going to show you some pictures.
Okay.
But, so we just kind of want you to point out all the bruises and all the small little nicks and scratches that you were aware of.
Gotcha.
And exactly how they happened and all that stuff. Okay.
Yes.
We've got quite a few.
Okay.
They may or may not be easy to look at,
Okay.
The detectives asked her to identify the bruises found on Hannah's body and explained how they came about. She was doing a great job, or at least she thought she was, until they pointed out a fault in her story. According to her, Hannah injured the right side of her face. However, the pictures showed that the injury was on the left side. Perhaps she mixed up which side it was on while speaking to the detectives, but the detectives knew that the pictures had rattled her and could tell that she was feeling the pressure.
So I didn't actually see the train. I haven't seen the train. How tall is the train?
About that high off the ground. And she was standing up on it, doing the surfing thing, and it went out from the side, and she went down like that. With, her arms back. Yeah. And smacked.
Smacked the right side of her face?
Yeah. Okay. And I freaked out and ran out there. I'm like, are you okay? She jumped back up, and she said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, let's go put ice on it. Let's sit down and play Barbie.
What was she complaining of?
Headache. Her head hurt.
Both times Lindsay had explained Hannah's head injuries, she said she fell face first to the ground. But we all know the body would always try and adjust to protect itself, which was the first red flag the detectives had spotted in her story. Now that they've gotten that out of the way, it's time to explain another injury on her face.
You were saying the right side. None of this was on her right side from the train, you're saying?
No, that's from the gravel. Okay. She literally bit it.
Okay.
Full force running.
And you said when she totally bit it, her head was going down towards the ground?
Yeah, she smacked her chin.
Her chin right here?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the problem. There's no mark directly on the point of her chin. We're looking at marks.
Very little to no bruising right here in the middle. It's on the left.
Yeah.
And on the right.
Like I said, I was far away too. I was way behind them, so.
And then up underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when people fall, you're gonna have bruising on the sharp points. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be this point, none here, and then some here. Or if you're over here, you're gonna have some here.
And she could have. I don't know. I honestly.
Or you'll have some
I was
here.
just coming out of the door and
if you fall straight forward, you're not gonna have over here and none in the middle.
Yeah.
And the bruising would have been here, and up underneath there would have been no bruising.
That's a soft spot that your body naturally protects. Cause the way your body.
That's why it's tucked in like that.
It's tucked in. And that's where we're getting. That's why we wanted to come down and fill in some of these holes.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, I've been pretty honest with you this morning. A lot of these aren't adding up to a fall in the gravel.
Yeah.
And here's another thing on the chest.
So the bruises on Hannah's chest and chin don't quite align with Lindsay's story, and when this was brought up, she backtracked on her statement and said she probably wasn't close enough to know which part of the body she hit first. Up until this point, Lindsay had managed to explain the cuts and bruises on her body until she ran out of excuses and made this shocking revelation.
You see that bruise?
Mm-hmm.
What's that kind of look like?
Is it older?
Older, yeah. Older. There's some yellowing all through here, and then see this here?
Mm-hmm.
That looks, what would you say?
Older.
To me, that looks brand new.
Oh, okay.
That looks newer than even.
Okay,
these.
yeah, see, I don't know.
So what it kind of looks like is that these are all from a different time.
Yeah, and like I said, she is wild. I don't think that she's been. I really don't think that she's been hurt.
If you believe us that it's instant, you're agreeing that, okay, she fell because she got hit. Or something happened. Something caused this, okay, in her head. She fell because of that. All right? What caused that?
What accident caused this?
She fell on the door and hit the concrete step. She tripped Thursday morning.
Walking into the house?
Yes. So when I opened up the door, she was coming through and she slipped on that concrete step and the metal part. She hit the metal part on her eye.
Which door?
The back door? Yeah,
into the house?
going into the house, the carpet. And so I got her back up and she stood up and looked up at me and did say, "I want donut and couch," and then collapsed.
Slowly but surely, she started divulging more information about what had happened that morning, revealing more than she initially shared.
What's up? Is the stuff about, do you want to go back to bed or what? Is that all that true?
She got back up and looked at me and said, "Donut, I want
asked
butter
for a
and couch."
donut.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened? And they collapsed. Okay.
And I thought she was having a seizure. I didn't think that was her. I thought that the Wednesday was her.
Listen to me. That's not what happened to you.
It is.
The doctor said when this injury occurred, she was out. We've come a long way. We got past that, okay?
Yeah.
You're right there. You're right there.
Finally, she had filled in the part the detectives had missed since the case had started. Hannah's accident wasn't from any of her past playful shenanigans, but from a fall with Lindsay. But there were still some puzzles that needed to be solved, and Lindsay is too far down the rabbit hole to hold back now.
When I opened the door, I dropped her. And I slipped and fell.
Tell us what happened.
So I slipped on her blanket when I opened the door, and we both went down, and she hit that concrete step really hard.
Where at? On her head?
On her face,
Where?
yeah, because I was holding her on the left side. And when I slipped, it hit her side. I actually hit my head on the door coming down, but she smacked her face, her head really hard on that concrete step.
Okay, and then what happened?
We got up. I tried to get her to come to. She did ask me for a donut and couch out in the garage, not inside, but she did when we first walked in and Jason walked out. She said,
So now you're saying she asked for that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I fell and she fell.
Where were you at when you fell?
Against the door, trying to get the door open. I was holding her. The blanket was kind of like falling because he had handed her to me, and I put her down, and then I picked her. No, he put her down, and when he walked out the door, I picked her up with the blanket, and it got tangled up. And when I opened up the door, it got tangled, and I slipped.
Besides, if it had been an accident, like she claimed, then it couldn't have taken this long for her to admit it. Maybe she was scared about Hannah's condition, or perhaps there's more to what really happened.
I didn't do that. I don't know.
Okay.
I really didn't do that. I don't know.
How does this happen? What caused that?
She took all of the, I don't know why she was in trouble. She took all the ketchup out and squirted it into the toilet while I wasn't looking.
That's frustrating.
And I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
What else had she done that day? Is this like a culmination of things building up?
Mischievous.
What day was that?
Was it last week? This week?
This week? Early this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't think that I hurt her. I really didn't.
So what caused this?
I smacked her on the chin. for doing the ketchup. That was the same thing.
Okay, so this is the same incident.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. Because this is not a smack. I just want to tell you right now, this is not a deep bone contusion from an open-handed smack. Okay? Knowing that.
I didn't.
No,
I wasn't like that.
listen. Knowing that we know that, what happened here?
The same thing. It was the same incident.
Tell us, though, what happened to these specific bruises.
When I caught her doing the ketchup, I took it away and I put her on the potty because I figured she had to go pee anyway. And I said, Hannah, you can't do the ketchup. And I got mad. I just slapped her upside the head and went like that.
Closed?
Yeah, like that.
How many times? Don't say once.
Yeah, a couple times.
Because look, bruise.
Yeah,
bruise.
yeah.
Okay. Does he give you permission to discipline or, spank and stuff? Okay.
Bit by bit, she revealed truths that coincided with medical reports, but more cracks appeared, before Lindsay finally admitted to doing the unthinkable.
I've had some things going on. I had a miscarriage 2 weeks ago. That was really traumatic, and I took care of 4 days. 14 weeks.
How long ago was this?
Right at the end of February.
Have you been trying to have another one? Been having a hard time?
Yeah.
Do you know about her
This
mother?
was the second miscarriage.
Do you know about her mother? You know
Oh, yeah.
anything about the mother?
Yeah.
Does that piss you off?
Yes, and I don't know why I hurt her. I don't know why I even slapped her or was even
No, I'm
mad.
talking
I know
about-
why I was. It was me.
Does her mother piss you off?
Yes. Hardcore because I
Because
would
you're
never.
trying to have a child. Trust me, I know. I've gone through this. It's too much. It's too much on one person.
It was. It was.
You got it out, okay? Let's finish it. Let's get it all the way through, okay?
It's probably the same incident. Was it? Was it the same incident?
What happened?
Hannah, you know better.
We know that.
I didn't hurt her. I wasn't even trying to hurt her. I was trying to get her
Well,
attention.
this
Like,
stuff
you can't.
didn't hurt her. This stuff's not what hurt her. I mean, it may have hurt, obviously, but she's being disciplined.
And I'm not like that. I really am not an aggressive person. I've never even like.
Well, normally, but these aren't normal circumstances.
No, I'm not normal right now.
No.
I'm not.
No.
These are at different stages of healing. Was there other times where you've got her in the chest where some are healing and some aren't?
No, but I remember one morning she was.
What was that you just did?
I just kind of like squeezed her when I picked her up, like, because Jason was late, and that morning he
And
was.
that's what these are.
Yeah, probably.
These are little pinch bruises.
Yeah, where I squeezed her from.
The shirt does that.
Because Jason was like, no, I gotta go, I'm in a hurry, because she kept wanting to give him more kisses, which is normal. He's like, will you grab her? I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I remember grabbing her up and squeezing her like, Hannah, you gotta stop,
Okay.
your dad's gotta go.
Okay.
I remember doing that.
Here, she pretty much admitted to almost every single bruise and injury on Hannah's body, aside from the one that ultimately landed her in the hospital.
Hannah, you can't do that. Daddy's gotta go to work.
You shook her.
Yeah. I shook her, and I remember picking her up and squeezing her, and we did fall. But she did ask me for donut and couch before I.
How hard did you shake her? Like, what was the shake? What was?
She was in trouble.
Show me. Yeah. Then you were angry.
Yeah. Hannah, you know better than to do that. Why would you do that? Your dad's late. We can't do that. You know better than that. What are we gonna do tomorrow morning?
Like until she's whining, until she stops whining?
Yeah. I mean, it was a.
You shook her until she stopped whining?
Then I picked her up.
What did her face look like when you picked her up after she stopped whining?
Did she stop whining?
Yeah.
So you shook her for about 5 seconds. You picked her up.
Mhm.
Then you walk in the house. That's when you noticed she was unconscious.
Yeah. Well, we fell. We did fall. I'm not lying about that.
Why did you fall?
Because I slipped on the blanket and the stuff.
Did
We
you,
did
like,
fall.
snatch her up real quick and going in the house because you were angry still? Is that because you did fall, you think?
Fall.
Probably. Yeah. Because I was doing it quickly.
After making a couple of stories up about how she had shaken Hannah after they had had the fall by the steps, she revealed how she had shaken her so vigorously in an attempt to get her to snap out of her whining and allow her dad to leave for work that she had caused the cranial injury and the fainting that followed. After the interviews, Lindsay admitted to hitting Hannah multiple times in the week leading up to the accident that ultimately put her in prison. The pressure led to Lindsay admitting to hitting Hannah multiple times in the day leading up to the incident. Slaps, strikes to the head, and even a closed-fisted punch to the chin. Hannah Wesche sadly never recovered from her injuries and passed away in the hospital 9 days later as a result of what the doctors described as tremendous brain damage. Her death meant Lindsay would be charged for homicide. However, the case took another shocking twist during Hannah's trial. In April 2019, Lindsay appeared before the criminal court and pleaded not guilty to all the allegations, strongly denying ever hitting Hannah at all. The medical experts proved that Hannah's injuries preceded her falling unconscious and therefore must have been sustained at Lindsay's house. The evidence was against her very overwhelmingly, as they took testimonies from everyone involved in the case and the members of Jason's family, who didn't pull any punches when they described what they saw and heard from Hannah about how her babysitter treated her. Lindsay defended herself, saying that she was coerced into making those confessions by the detectives, who insinuated that if she didn't say something, Jason would take the fall, and that she thought that she was protecting Jason and his daughter at the time. Mind you, Hannah wasn't dead at the time that she made those confessions. The detectives also stated how Lindsay had refused to take the polygraph test. Meanwhile, Jason took his and passed. Not to mention the text messages found on her phone where she talked about how she feared Jason would eventually dump his daughter on her. The final bomb came when Jason testified that the bruises found on Hannah's head that morning were not there when he had dropped her off. After all that was said and done, the jury found Lindsay Parton guilty of 4 counts of child endangerment, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, and of felony murder of Hannah Wesche. On May 9th, 2019, Lindsay was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years, and 3 years for the count of felony child endangerment, which brought her total sentence to at least 18 years. Interestingly, later in 2019, in a separate case, TJ was indicted on multiple counts involving assault of a child under 10. What makes this case even harder to process is that no other parent has ever reported bruises or mistreatment from Lindsay before. So why Hannah? Was it stress, frustration, or something darker? We may never know what truly triggered Lindsay to turn on the child that she was meant to protect, but what we do know is that a little girl lost her life in a place that she was supposed to be safe. If you found this case as chilling as we did, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people uncover the truth. And if you want a deeper dive into the darkest corners of true crime, subscribe for more cold hard receipts from the dark side of justice.